lot of stakes from the right, left, center, and sometimes crazy. Speaking of crazy, yesterday's show made the news.
Yeah, we made the news. Oh, Sport Code Boy put us on the news. Well, not just us, our guest, Richard Holtorff. The cool thing is you and I called it. We said afterwards, like, we're going to be on the news. Yeah, the thing that made me mad. I mean, again, I appreciate the coverage, Kyle. I really, really do. You couldn't put the station graphic up there. You couldn't put the little stick. You couldn't grab the KNUS bug. It's just a little white line there
at the very top.
That's it. That's all the love we get is that. We couldn't get a little more. I mean, a little
maybe
bit more.
Maybe if I unblocked him from Twitter, he'd be
maybe. That was the only thing.
More meanable.
Yeah. And when he said, and earlier in the story, he goes, yes, and on talk radio. And oh, man. But at least he got, the little graphic was there. That's all I need. I just want you to get the name of the show right and the call letters and what time we're on. That's all I need. That's all I need from you.
And the battle continues, both on phones and in studio.
Yeah.
At 7:30, Lauren Bobert will be joining us to respond. I think, I don't think it was fair what Richard said about Lauren. It's when he went to the Colfax thing.
Yeah, it was a personal attack, and I am not a fan of the. Oh, excuse me, I'm not a fan of the ad hominem. I'm just not. But again,
comparing a woman saying that, I mean, she's.
Well, for me, it's just a personal.
One of those.
It's just a personal attacks, and it's just I'm not a fan of them. But you want to come on here and make personal attacks against anybody else? Hey, phone's open. So I'm fine with that one. I mean, because that's again on you. You want to go ahead and make those personal attacks, and we get them all the time on the phones with me and on the textures. I mean, the textures all the time, rather than dealing with points they don't like, insult me and call me names. So I deal with that all the time. So I understand what Holtorff was doing. That's not the way that I would have gone about it, but. You want to come in here and sling mud? Sure, fine. We'll give you an avenue. Why not? Especially if we get on the news. If we get on the news with it, sure.
So she'll be responding at 7:30. Then at 8 o'clock in studio, she's back.
That's nice.
Because she has sat in this chair before.
Yeah, back to her stomping
when she hosted her show. Deborah Flora will be joining us. So
yeah. Question is, you guys have to fight over that chair. She's going to come in and want that chair.
Happy to give it. No, Deborah's great. Lauren's great. We don't pick sides on this stuff.
No.
So we just facilitate the conversation.
Yeah.
So one of my dear friends of the show tweeted, Jeff, you're being a troublemaker in CD4. I said, I'm just creating the space, man.
Yeah, exactly. We are just like the professional wrestler promoter. We're setting up the ring. You want to get in? Come on in. We're fine with that. You want to get into the ring?
No other show like this. You can call in right now, and we'll give you time on the air. By the way, phone lines are open if you'd like. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971.
I got to point something out here. You got a new hat.
I do.
A really nice
We
new
are
hat.
going to talk.
Yeah.
We are going to talk.
We're going to talk about that. That's a really nice hat.
Freaking Casa Bonita,
it's
man.
It's a really cool color. It's really nice.
It is. Yeah, it's corduroy. I've never had a corduroy hat before.
Really? My dad had a corduroy cowboy hat. It was just really weird.
No,
yes.
Really?
Yes. I saw it the other day when we were moving out of my mom's house. I'm like, no, I'm not taking this with me. I need a corduroy cowboy hat.
Is it around?
Like, what do you mean around? Like,
you said you're not taking it with you.
Yeah, no.
So did you goodwill it?
No, it's still at my parents' house. Going to go out in the estate sale. You interested in it?
I'm in, man.
Really?
A corduroy cowboy. Did he have a big head? Because I got a huge head.
Couldn't tell you. I mean, I don't know. Based about the size of mine, but I got a big giant cantaloupe melon. I mean, mine's like a giant round ball. It's the most round head in the world. It's stupid. I just look like a little, those little smiley faces.
I'd be interested in a corduroy cowboy hat.
Let me see. I'm going to be over. I got to be over there to grab some old slides. That are in a bin on Saturday. So if it's there, I know the room it's in.
I'll pay a fair price for that.
Don't worry about it. You can have it.
Fair price.
No, my friend, we're doing this together. You can have it. Not a big deal.
So,
and I'd be happy to know that my dad's hat went to you. Someone's gonna get, that would get use out of it. That is more than generous. I'm more than happy to give it to you.
That's cool.
I'll find it,
Thanks,
man.
Bill.
I'll see if I can find it. Yeah.
So after the news, I will break down what it's like to go to Casa Bonita now and what happened to the old food.
Really?
There's a special place for the old food.
Up on the wall. People throw it.
You'll never believe it. It is wild. It is amazing.
Oh, cool. I can't wait.
They have done it right.
I want to know because, we're kind of going, I don't want to be a part of the crowds. I don't want to be. So I'm curious to see what your experience is like one-on-one to see if that, kind of pushes me maybe I will make the time over over the summer or something.
It is legit, man. They did it $40 million.
Awesome.
It is cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear that. Yeah.
Have you been to Casa Bonita, Blake?
Oh my. Have I been to Casa Bonita?
No, like the new one, though. Yeah, but the new one.
No, I have not.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm looking forward to it. So I can't wait to hear what Jeff has to say.
I know, because you and I and Jeff are old school. So
guys, they have high quality bars everywhere.
Wow,
now.
really?
So they like changed it so it's like the parents have a great experience.
Wow.
So you just walk around with a drink, you have fun, you hang out, and the kids just all disappear into Black Bart's cave, all that. We'll get into that more. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm kind of scorned because I can still smell the carpet from the old one.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That was one of the things we were joking about. We're like, what, they spend $40 million on getting rid of the old smell?
Yeah, exactly. It was like this weird combination of a little bit of like Mexican spices, chlorine, and feet. That was the combination of smell in there.
That's right.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, good morning, guys. TGIF, 43 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the mid-60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story. Some clown shows continue around the country. Hamas supporters, anti-West, and American haters at Denver's Auraria campus have rejected a proposal that may have ended their ongoing demonstration. A group of donors offered to make a $15,000 donation to the International Red Cross if the demonstrators left the quad by 5 o'clock Thursday. The masked men and women accused the donors of trying to bribe them into being complicit with genocide in Gaza.
Yes, bribing them with donations to the Red Cross.
Yes, I didn't think I'd ever hear that.
Ever.
Right, that is horrible. They continue to demand the universities at Auraria cut financial ties with companies connected to Israel and condemn Israel's actions. President Biden got the memo from supporters, and he knows which way the wind is blowing.
Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not peaceful protest. It's against the law.
Hey, Isaac Millar was on Fox News Channel, and he's one of the North Carolina students who protected the American flag a couple days ago. He's an Orthodox Jew and was holding up an Israeli flag, and then it escalated to another level.
When this becomes an American issue, that hits kind of double hard, and that really hits us both in our religious country and our home one that we really feel is deeply important to us. I've seen a lot about us being heroes or unbelievable people. It's none of that. We see a country that we love and we believe in and we stand for its values being desecrated. And we didn't want to sit by and just let it happen.
When he turns 35, hopefully he runs for president. The Trump campaign derailment trial continues in New York today.
I'm not allowed to talk. There's never been any abuse like this before. This conflicted judge ought to get out of this case.
And then the weekend begins. Police have arrested a second suspect in connection with the murder of a Wheat Ridge shopkeeper. Peter Arguello was found shot to death inside Peter Damian Fine Jewelry and Antiques last November. Police identifying the suspect as Michael McCormick, who was taken into custody in the Blackhawk area. 5 months ago, police arrested Charles Shea in connection with the killing, and he now faces murder charges. Investigators accuse McCormick of being an accomplice in the crime. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. It is 40 in Brighton, 39 in Littleton, 43 in Denver. Rockies swept in South Florida. They start a series today in Pittsburgh. Nuggets and the T-Wolves tomorrow in the first round of the Western Conference semifinals. Avalanche still awaiting and to see who their next opponent will be, the Stars or the Golden Knights in their Western Conference semifinal playoff series.
And down the stretch they come in the Kentucky Derby.
Fierceness is the favorite at 5-2 odds at tomorrow's 150th running of the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs in Louisville. Jeff and Bill continue on Friday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for breezy conditions today, a chance of some scattered areas of showers and a few thunderstorms come late afternoon and evening. We'll be up near 70 degrees. Lows tonight will be a bit colder, mid to upper 30s and windy. Breezy, 60 Saturday, isolated showers and thunderstorms late, 40 Saturday night, all the way to the upper 70s Sunday. Gusty south winds with showers and thunderstorms late, then windy and cooler. Few showers Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
All right, welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So you have to be on a waiting list to get into Casa Bonita right now.
And somebody's flexing their new hat. It's a really nice hat, my friend.
I will tell you, it was not, we were not on the list. It was one of my son's schoolmates that got on the list.
Yeah.
And here's the secret.
What is this?
There's actually two lists, and one is a lot shorter than the other one.
How do you get on the short list? Who do I have to know?
You go as a group.
A group? Like how big? Like isn't two a group?
We went 16.
Whoa!
For a birthday party.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
So
now you get something different.
If you sign up for, so I'm on the traditional list, and it's been almost a year, and I haven't gotten an email. So if you're not familiar, Casa Bonita is a restaurant that's been around since 1973.
And if you're not familiar, what the hell have you been doing? Right. Honestly, I have some questions about you in Colorado here if you don't know about this.
So all those newbies that came from California, let me explain it.
It's on South Park.
Right, South Park.
Yeah.
By the way, I was with some guys that were like, oh, yeah, we used to all go to bars on Tuesday night to watch South Park. I was like, really?
Wow.
They're like, yeah, we'd all get together. It was like, because if you remember at the time, you had Simpsons, and then South Park just offended everybody, right? And so it was so over the top.
I'm going to do a little bit, because you got your Casa Bonita hat flex. I'm going to do my South Park flex. Okay. I'm going to do this one. I have still at home first edition South Park t-shirt from the very first season, the one that they have. I still have that t-shirt that was printed first season. Promotional things that were going on because, again, college radio. I was doing college radio at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't have it anymore. But at one point in my life, I was in possession of the original Santa Claus versus Jesus bootleg tape from Matt and Trey. The original, and that's basically the first thing they did in order to get the gig for South Park. Yeah. It was a short that they did, and it was so big that I knew people that actually hung out with them. In fact, there's a story a buddy of mine told. Unfortunately, he's passed away now. Told that he knew. God, I forget it was Matt. Trey, which one of them it was, but always they'd go in parties and one of them would sit there and get a little drunk. I gotta make the show about these little kids that curse and stuff like that, and talk about the idea behind the show. And they're like, shut up, just it's the show. Okay, fine, we get it. But he would go off on this rant normally when he was drinking at the parties, and so I knew people that were connected to them, and so I got a bootleg copy of the original Jesus versus Santa Claus. Yeah, so I had one of those early back in the day. Now, cool. But it's a VHS, so I let that go years ago. So yeah, go ahead.
If you grew up in Colorado, you typically went to birthday parties at Casa Bonita. It was the food was terrible, but the experience was kind of wild, especially if you're like in that, I'd say like 8, or maybe 6 to 12 range.
Yep.
Right, because the parents would just let the kids go.
Oh yeah.
And there were dark corners and caves and people jumping off of cliffs.
Yeah.
And so it was wild when you're 8 years old.
Yeah, there's a Black Bart's cave in which is supposed to be spooky, and you wander through, and it's just fun, and you go through it in a circle. They'd have a puppet show that's right outside of the cave that pops up every so often. Yeah, you would have people would wander around singing. You would have gypsies that would sing. You would have street performers, and there's also a game room in which they had arcades and skee ball and really bad prices. But that's okay. Yeah,
You're right. And the food was horrible.
Oh,
I mean, it was. And 9 News one time even interviewed the ownership. This was prior to the South Park guys buying it, and they're like, "Well, got us this far. Why would we change it?"
Yeah, exactly. So it's like y'all keep coming back. No, what are you supposed to do here? I don't see the necessary improvement that I need here because you guys keep showing up. Yeah.
So let me walk you through
Please,
what they've changed. So everything you described is still there. Yeah. Everything. The puppet shows. Do you remember those rooms way down under?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Where they would do plays.
Yep. There was one. In fact, we did. My daughter, who feels so old. My daughter, who's graduating from high school this year, we had her birthday party there in one of the down rooms, and they had one of the plays on the stage down there. Yeah, while we were there. So yeah.
So all that's still there. They just updated it, so it's like Disneyland quality.
Wow.
Bro. It is like everything's really nice.
Yeah.
We went down and watched a play. I will show you the videos, and I'll put this on my Instagram account. It is really, leather chairs and everything's clean. Everything works. They still got the wishing well. If you drop something, the little video pops up, but it's a better video.
Wow.
So everything's high quality. Now the food is amazing.
That's what I heard. I heard they really made sure, because that was the knock. Everyone was like, the food sucks. And so they really went out and they spent money on that chef.
The drinks are great. The service is fast. You get, the dedicated server, and we probably got our food within 5 minutes of ordering it.
No.
Yeah.
Now, is it the same cafeteria line thing, or do you order from the table?
You order from the table.
Really? That's nice.
Yeah.
That is nice. So
you order from
nothing like where your son, you talked about yesterday, where you tripped and spilled the food everywhere. So yeah.
Right.
Oh, good. So
right.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So you want to know what they did with the old food?
Yeah. What did they do?
This was hilarious.
What?
They're characters in the puppet show now.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the puppet show finishes.
Yeah.
With the descent.
Yeah.
From the top.
Yeah.
She comes down on a swing, the swinging sopapilla.
No. Oh my gosh.
And they push out bubbles, and she's kind of like this beautiful sopapilla.
Oh.
And the lights go down and shine on her, and she's swinging back and forth.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Oh,
the swinging sopapilla.
That's fantastic.
The divers are kind of more like 1950s, 60s like divers. So they imagine Elvis Presley movies, right?
Oh, yeah.
So they're kind of doing the jives and dancing back and forth, and then they jump off and go swimming like that. So divers are there, quality. It's amazing. It's a great experience.
No.
And then they have bars. They've installed bars everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Tiki bars and margarita bars and all that stuff. So parents are just walking around, drinking, having fun.
Wow.
And the kids are just off, doing their
running
stuff.
around as they used to. Now, okay, the big question here, what's the money cost? How is it price point wise?
It's expensive.
It worth it?
It's
now,
expensive.
Is it now?
Yeah.
Is it worth, you think, the experience of walking in, paying the check? Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
100%.
how often would you go back? Is it a once a quarter kind of a thing? Is it a celebration kind of a thing? How accessible should it be to average Colorado
I'd say
family?
probably 2 times a year.
That seems
Probably
fair.
2 times a year. It's the dining experience is high quality. The tables are nice. Everything's clean. It's a totally different experience than what we had when we were kids, but it's expensive. You're gonna.
Now, do they still do the plays with the divers and the monkey and the guy running
I
around?
didn't see the plays, but every 20 minutes they'd get up there and dance like it was the 1950s Elvis movie, and then they jump off and go swimming.
But they didn't do the chase thing with the monkey running around, because that was always
there was a monkey there.
Oh yeah,
but it just walked around.
Okay.
It went from table to table.
Yeah, and I was curious about it, because that was the thing, is the gorilla would show up every once in a while, or a monkey, and then they have the keeper that was trying to get him, and every once in a while he'd pull out a gun and shoot at him. Of course, and I'm like, are they going to have the gun? Are they going to be doing that inside? I'm just
I
curious.
did not see that.
Okay, curious
it's about
that
$20 a drink.
Wow.
Give you a price point.
And then how much tequila are they putting in that? And
yeah, that was a double. That was a double margarita.
Oh, better be for 20. Oh, ouch. Yeah.
So
that's a biggie, man.
Yeah. But
okay.
It's a great experience. They did it right, man. They did it right.
That's nice to hear.
So tip of the hat to Trey and Matt. I know it was a $40 million investment.
Yeah.
But the staff was great, man.
And who else could have stepped in to do that? I don't think anybody else could have done it with the love and understanding other than
exactly
them.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you one more thing about it.
Yeah, please.
So Democrats are going to have a serious problem this election.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
What?
So I'm hanging out with a buddy and we're just kind of talking near the bar.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what we said. A few more margaritas in at that point. But the bartender comes up to me and he goes, "This is the bartender." Okay.
Yeah.
I know I look like Mike Pence. I dress like Mike Pence.
Yeah, yeah.
I act like Mike Pence.
Yeah.
This guy, fully tatted up.
Yeah.
Dreads, all that stuff. Bandana, wearing a bandana. He comes up to me and he goes, "Did you hear what the Democrats have done on assault weapons?"
Oh, no way.
The guy drops Bruin, the U.S. Supreme Court decision, and it starts to list what's in the assault weapons bill.
Wow.
Like out of nowhere.
Jeez.
And you know that those kind of old sayings, like if it gets to that level where the bartender
that's
is
interesting.
Frustrated with Democrats and taking away Second Amendment rights, I'm like, whoa.
The only question I would have in that conversation is, are you a current gun owner and how many of you had and how long have you had them? That's the only
was
thing.
A total.
Okay.
He knew RMGO. He knew all that stuff.
Okay. Then that's interesting because that to me tells me that he's probably leaning more conservative naturally than he would elsewise. So rather than finding some sort of a liberal, but that's interesting.
No, I don't think he was. He definitely wasn't a liberal.
Yeah.
But when the bartender goes off on the assault weapons ban,
that's interesting. Now I want to take this in a different direction for a second. Do you remember, you talked about how this is kind of like Disneyland, how they've redone it as far as Disneyland.
Yep.
Do you remember Celebrity Bowling Lane?
Dude,
it was Celebrity Fun Center. Technically.
I have a different memory of Celebrity because it was the first place I got robbed.
No. Oh, that's funny. What'd you do bad? You made it.
So we had, you just had the changing room.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we were with our buddies and we walked in and all of our clothes were scattered everywhere. Someone had picked through everything. And there were kids like in there when we walked in. And we're like, what the heck's going on? They're like, whoa, it happened to us too, guys. The security is at the top of the slide. So run up to the top of the slide.
Yeah, they're robbing your stuff. The
exactly. They were robbing our stuff right there. And we're like, oh my gosh, we got to go to security. So we raced up there. We're like 10 years old. Yeah, and there's nobody there. Yeah, and we're like, dang it, those were the kids robbing us right then and there. That's the memory I have.
Oh, man. Why weren't the lockers locked? Why didn't you lock the lockers? That'd be the weird thing.
We're Cherry Hills kids.
Yeah, because you got to lock the lockers. Yeah, the thing is, you got to lock the lockers because that's my neighborhood. That's kind of where I grew up in that area. And so I was always there. The interesting thing with Celebrity, and the reason I bring it up because you mentioned Disneyland, is that was run by Disney. That was set up and run by Disney as a precursor to people going out to Disneyland in California. Yeah. They would bring their managers out here and have them learn how to run things here. And a lot of their mid-level managers and high-level managers would come here as a training ground at Celebrity. Celebrity was their base center because it did kind of the same things that Disney did. You had entertainment, you had food, you had video games, you had families. And so it was kind of a learning ground. So you didn't have to be on the big stage in Disney. So for years and years, this was a training center. Yeah. And it was connected to Disney for years, which made sense why there were certain things that you'd see at Celebrity that they would have them first. Like when, what was it? There was a video game that was one of the first ones. It was kind of an anime where you weren't really playing the game, but you'd make choices and then it would play a little bit of a movie. And it was a dragon sword or dragon something or another. And they were one of the first people. They were the first place in Colorado to get that game because of the Disney connection. So many times they would have the new video games. They would have the new stuff. And that's why I spent my allowance there. Routinely.
And that was off of Colorado Boulevard,
right?
Colorado
Boulevard. Yeah, it's basically a quarter mile from Colorado Boulevard and Exposition, more or less. Okay. So, yeah, that's the area that it was in. And I could ride my bike there.
Is it the car dealerships there?
There's car dealerships. There's, I don't know, there's big box stores. There's like Home Depot, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not even there. But yeah, that was the thing that I could ride my bike there with my buddy. And so we'd save our allowance for a couple of weeks and we'd go down there and we'd spend the afternoon because you could start out at like 10 o'clock in the morning or so, and you could decide, what do you want to do? Do you want to go swimming? Do you want to play bowling? And so whatever it is. So maybe you bowl first if the pool was full or anything else. So you bowl, and then maybe you go and you eat a little bit because they had a couple of snack places, and then you'd go and you'd swim, and then you'd go to the arcade, and then by 5, 6 o'clock at night when it starts to get dark, you get in the bike and ride home. Yeah, it was a great afternoon. It was fantastic. Yeah,
it had the slide that came out outside the building, didn't it?
2 of them, and
two of them, right?
Okay, this is how OG I am. I can tell you the names of the stupid slides.
Yeah, I was trying to think of those.
The dolphin and the shark. The dolphin and the shark are the 2 names.
Close on that.
Yeah, those are the 2 names. That's how often I was there. I don't remember which one was which, but the key was the one that was down below was actually faster. The taller one was slower. The taller one was cool, had the longer line. The faster one was the shorter one. So yeah. I was OG celebrity. Yeah. I did a lot of that. But that's funny that you didn't lock your lockers. That was one of the first things we knew. But then again, in the place where I didn't grow up in any neighborhood that had any kind of crime or anything else. But the idea is if you would leave your bike out on your lawn, it would be gone the next day. Not because someone stole it, because someone took it and goofed it around. You'd find it 3-4 blocks away, and someone might have messed it up or something else. So it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like we were this crime-ridden place. But you just had to know that, hey, if you leave that locker door open, someone's going to open it and go through your stuff. That's just what's going to happen. So yeah.
Text message coming. I've been into Casa Bonita twice in less than a year. To get in, as you know, you have to sign up on their email list. The secret is signing up with multiple emails.
Oh, so you're saying you're using fake IDs? Well, I see how you are.
I was bowling next to Elway his rookie year.
No way.
And got his autograph on a bowling sheet. That must have been a celebrity.
That is so cool.
We were drinking out of the pitchers, not glasses.
Oh, that's awesome. That is an awesome story.
The pinball was the best.
Oh, pinball was, and again, Disney connection. They spent money on the pinball. The latest pinball machines, they had them. I mean, when you first had the very first, when the back glass started to do different things and change colors, and when you had 2 levels in the playing field and a whole bunch of others with the pinball, they were the ones that had that. They always had the best machines. Yeah, so that was kind of a nice thing.
I remember going to stock car races over at Lakeside, where the Lakeside Mall was where they had Elitch's.
Yeah, Lakeside Mall.
I never went to Lakeside, man.
Oh, Lakeside was
Lakeside was the wrong side of the tracks, man.
Lakeside was fun because it was that step down. It was more gritty, it was more grimy, and it was less expensive. And there are a lot of things that what's the Wild Chipmunk? Oh, that's a classic. There's some really fun rides at Lakeside. That had a lot of fun. And again, it was an idea. If you couldn't afford to go to Elitch's, you then roll into Lakeside and have some fun with it. And I even did Elitch's when it was still, the old school place.
Yeah. So I did too. You remember the gum tree?
Mm-hmm.
And then help me with the roller coasters. You had the Sidewinder, which was the new
Twister.
One.
Yeah, the Twister.
And you had the Wildcat.
Yeah.
Remember the Wildcat? Yep. And those were the old wooden ones.
Yeah. They would rack back forest. Yeah. Which are nice. I prefer. And do you prefer now? Are you a roller coaster guy or not? Just question.
I feel old when I get on roller coasters now
really?
Because I used to love them. Just go all, and now I get off and I'm like, yeah. Oh, my neck.
Yeah, I have to be judicious too, but I love roller coasters. I love them. And so, okay, question. Prefer metal or wood? What's the ones that you prefer?
At this point, it's the smoother metal ones.
I prefer the wood ones. The metal ones, you can do more cool stuff. And so I lean into that. The metal ones are cool because you can do all that stuff. But for me, the classic feeling is the roller coaster. There's Kings Island in Ohio that's got one of the largest wooden roller coasters on the planet. And that is a fantastic ride. It's just wonderful. I just like the idea of the wooden roller coaster and the creakiness and the shaking of the track and everything else. That to me is the OG roller coaster experience. That's what I love.
Getting some calls coming in. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. What do you think of the new Casa Bonita? 303-696-1971. Text us at the 710 KNUS app. I'll tell you, the staff, wonderful. Absolutely. Very kind. Very happy to be working there. Great spirits, especially when you have 8 kids like we did running around, bunch of hooligans. And a tip of the hat to the Ryan Franks. Thanks for getting us in. That was a ton of fun.
That's a good idea, though. The whole idea of the birthday party.
Yeah.
Now, okay, question though. Do they check ID when you're going in to make sure it's a real birthday party? No, I'm just saying.
No. They did do that. You just got to sign up, but they do send you a whole list of rules and stuff, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
And our hosts were like, I'm not passing that on to you.
Because the thing is,
but they do check your ID, and you get a bracelet when you go in.
Good, nice. Now, because the thing is, can I say something here? Yeah, I probably should say something here. I am not above fudging a little bit about birthdays, saying it's someone's birthday to get a free cake or free something. I got no problem with that one. So if I need to fudge a birthday in order to get into Casa Bonita quicker,
we used to do that to our friends just to mess with them, especially if they were late. So if we were all going out and one buddy would show up late, we'd be like, yeah, when the guy that comes late, it's his birthday. Yeah. So he'd just be sitting there, and then all of a sudden, someone starts singing "Happy Birthday." He's like,
"Whose birthday is it?" Put it in front of him. That's fantastic. That is really good. The one that we had one friend in high school and then college, went to college with him as well. That we used to, the what we call them the bingo cards. I think it's fall out of the magazines. You can sign up for a free subscription. Every one of those we found, we signed them up for free subscription.
That's awesome.
So it was, and the fun thing is, it is a joke that pays dividends later. It's like 6 weeks or so, and all of a sudden he's like, "Guys, who signed me up for Cat Fancy?" Like, because now he's got a year-long subscription, and again, it's free, and then they bill you for it. So now he has to fight with them about the billing. Oh yeah, we were mean to him.
We would send Mormon missionaries to our friends.
Oh, that's smart.
So if you go online, you can go to Mormon.org or something. You put in their addresses. And I remember one of my buddies, I was like, "How's your summer?" He's like, "Oh, it's great." I was like, "You guys get any Mormon missionaries?" He's like, "Every day they were coming by our house."
Oh, that's great. I wish you would have known that we could sign them up for that, because in college we had this rule in the house that if they came by and it was Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, anything else, you invite them in and then you try to convince them to go to the church that we were going to. Yeah, just for fun. And so and it was odd. The Jehovah's were the ones that didn't deal with it the best, where you're like, "Yeah, I understand." Like, I understand, and this, and and I get it. I understand why you love this type of community. And can I tell you, we have this wonderful community as well. And this, and right over there, and all of a sudden their faces change. Like, uh-oh. We're like, no. This Sunday we're having this service, and we get this thing going Saturday that we're going to be out there at the church volunteering. And if you want to join us there, and we have this, and they're like,
the battle of the wits.
Yeah,
it was. I could see a Jehovah's Witness being like, "I feel really good about this house." And then, as you know, what I have to deal with, Bill's wit and intelligence, I can see them. I can see their facial expressions
like,
change and be like, "Oh, now I'm rethinking my faith."
Exactly. Yeah, that was kind of a rule. If you had time, you just bring them in. See if you can convert them.
That's funny. Yeah. Love the Casa Bonita stories. Thanks, Joan.
Yeah, thanks.
Lakeside had the pool that was so gnarly.
Oh yeah,
I don't know anything about it.
Oh yeah, there was just some things at Lakeside that you just didn't do. Like there were certain foods you didn't eat, and it was just because lower quality. And
it was. Speaking of that, when you do the puppet show and all the food comes back out, the guy, I guess he was the most popular dish for whatever it was, 45 years. Was the meat with a burrito, the taco, and the enchilada, the meat dish or whatever it was. Yeah. But yeah, he would come out. He's like, "That was the most popular dish for 45 years." He kind of talks like he's in an old voice.
Oh my God. Oh, that's fantastic. I can't wait. I'm going to have to invent a birthday.
I spent a lot of time at celebrities too. Do you remember when they put the slides and pool at Buckingham Square? Gina Aurora.
That's right. Yeah.
I don't remember that stuff.
I do remember that.
Yes. 5311 Trail Dust. We went there all the time.
Yeah, with the slide. And they cut the ties.
And they cut the ties. So what we would do, shout out to my parents, my mom, she'd go up and get my dad's old ties. And all of us boys would be wearing T-shirts with an old tie around, you know. And they'd come around, they'd bang and make come out with the scissors and cut off the tie and all that.
It's wonderful. That is so cool.
And then they stapled them on the
on like the walls and
on the walls.
That is awesome. You know, I went up and I raided my dad's closet for a different reason. In high school, we had regular church service at least once a month, and there were other days in which you had to wear ties. They didn't specify they had to be current nor appropriate. That was not in the rule book.
And your dad had inappropriate ties?
Well, it was just they're late 50s, 60s, early 70s ties. Gigantic wide ones. There was one, and I don't know what it was or anything else, but it was it was kind of a dark green with a burnt orange color, and seemed to have some large African gentlemen with spears and shields on them. No idea what it was or why, but loved that tie. And just some that just ridiculous, stupid patterns. And again, the principal knew and walked by and they'd look at me and just go, it's not in the rule book. It doesn't say it has to be appropriate.
That is funny.
Yeah, I got one that looked like a fish. That was a really fun one. I even had ones that were that you had novelty ties things. I had one that was completely clear. At the bottom had a little bit of water with a fake fish in it, and above it had an island, and the tree would go back and forth as I walked because it would wiggle. Yeah.
That's cool.
I know, but I get it. It was completely stupid.
Trail dust burned down, didn't it?
Yeah.
It had a fire in the kitchen or something.
And I'm wondering whether, again, did they, and they never really rebuilt it, and they went and sold it. And so, and I wonder if it was just not worth it at that point, that people weren't showing up. Again, not showing up at times.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Prefer wood.
Well, wood roller coasters. Yes.
Wood roller coasters.
Appreciate you.
There you go.
It's just something, it has more personality. Again, scarier, can do more cool stuff. Absolutely the metal roller coasters, but there's just more personality in the wooden ones.
I agree. Took my German cousin to Celebrity one time.
No way.
And he could not believe the number of bowling lanes. He said, "You crazy Americans."
It was amazing. It was so much fun.
What do we have today that's like that? So Casa Bonita's around. And if it wasn't for Trey and Matt,
it'd go under.
It would have gone under.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that place, tip of the hat to them and to the great staff that's there and the kitchen.
And how good has it been? Hopefully, I hope so. I'm crossing my fingers. Good for economic development in the area around it.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping all those stores and places in the neighborhood also are seeing an added business because of everybody else getting there. I really hope that helps out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's off of Colfax. Hey, do you have a high school student considering their college plans? Are they ready to discover more about their gifts and talents? Do you hope to see them become part of the next generation of Christian leaders? Your student is invited to Colorado Christian University's Discovery Preview. This week-long event is completely free. Discovery Preview is designed for students who desire to seek God's purpose and calling in their lives. Students are immersed in the community, culture, and mission of CCU. Workshops focused on calling, career, and Christ-centered leadership help them explore their unique strengths and potential career options. CCU's Christ-centered community takes students on a Colorado adventure to experience the beauty of the Rocky Mountains. Eligible students can also qualify for a $1,250 annual scholarship just for attending. Don't miss Discovery Preview this summer, June 17th through the 21st. The event is designed for juniors and seniors in high school. And again, it's absolutely free. To learn more, go to ccu.edu/discovery. That's ccu.edu/discovery. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Let's get started with YouTube news, Bill.
Yes, it is that time of the morning where we play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show, but not the loser edition because I was a giant loser and wasn't here for a couple of days this week. So we have brand new stories for Jeff and Blake Olson from our newsroom to choose from. As always, I've scoured the interwebs for mere moments this morning to find really dumb headlines and stories about us dumb humans and to play this fake radio news game. Why? Because the people in charge have no idea we're doing it at this time of the morning, so we'd appreciate if you keep this secret. Alrighty, here are your choices, gentlemen. Headline number 1, making new friends. Headline number 2, gang violence. Headline number 3, hitting the sauce. Headline number 4, a lesson for us all. All righty, Mr. Hunt, your choice, sir.
I always like to make new friends.
Yes, making new friends. Here we're traveling to Lansing, Michigan, and meeting an 18-year-old gentleman who recently made some new friends early on a Sunday morning. It was because he had been out partying the night before, and early in the morning, he got the little knock on his window, and the officer is standing outside going, hello, sir. Is there a reason you seem to be sleeping in your truck? And can we talk to you about the tree? Yes, the tree. See, earlier in the evening, the police officers received a phone call about a gentleman who was at a nearby gas station, appeared to be passed out in his truck, and may have had a little bit of a problem driving early in the evening because there was a small tree still lodged to the front of his vehicle. Yes, the front right of his Chevy pickup truck still had about a 10-foot tree lodged in the front bumper. And so it was pretty easy when the police showed up to figure out which guy may have been out drinking a little too much. Yes, he made new friends and got a free trip to jail that morning and is charged with DUI. So, yeah, I just love that. What do you say? You wake up like, no, sir, I wasn't the tree.
There's a tree in
Okay, yeah, you got me.
in your grill.
Yes, and it's not a small one. It is like 10 to 15 feet tall. It's a big
Wow.
tree. Yes, it is a big tree.
You have to go back and replant it and all that stuff. You got to make it right, man. If you do something like that, just hang your head, go replant the
The other thing
tree.
you got to figure out is he hit it and then kept going. That's the other part of this decision making. I'm like, wow, okay. All right,
I
sir.
guess at least it wasn't someone on their bike.
That's true. Gang violence, hitting the sauce, or a lesson for us all.
Let's do hitting the sauce.
Yeah, hitting the sauce. Now we're driving to lovely Florida and meeting Mr. Nolan Goins. Nolan is a 46-year-old that is now charged in a road rage incident over glaring headlights. He was very mad about another driver having headlights that he felt were just too bright.
Yeah,
So
I feel the pain of this, man.
So he had to teach him a lesson with pasta sauce. Instead of pulling out a firearm, this time he threw pasta sauce at the offending driver, hitting the driver in the arms, leg, and torso and dirtying up the inside of the car. The gentleman obviously complained. So Goins is now facing charges of battery. It's a misdemeanor and booked into county jail. He's free on a $1,000 bond. Unfortunately, investigators did not tell us the kind of sauce that he used or pasta brand, just in case you were going to plan on doing this later yourself.
This is the issue I will cross over to vote for a Democrat
Yeah,
on.
what? Pasta sauce?
No, the dang freaking bright headlights.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Maybe it's because we live in rural Colorado,
Yeah.
so you end up on these 2-lane roads all the time. Man, I would be a single issue voter if there was someone that's like, I'm going to restrict the brightness of these headlights.
I have a feeling there's two things involved in that. One, it's the LED lights
Yes,
rather than traditional
exactly.
halogens.
Yep.
And that's part of the problem. The second one is our stupid cars. And here's the reason why. Realize that our cars have gotten larger. So what's happening is they sit higher on the road. So it's more likely to be in your eye line.
Right in your eye line.
Yep. I drive a small car. I mean, my car is maybe 5 inches off the ground, maybe. On a good day, 5 inches. Not in me inside. So everybody's lights are right in my eyes. Everybody's lights. You get those F-150s, boom, right in my peepers. I can't see. It's no problem.
Democrat Party of Colorado, you want my support? Propose something around getting rid of those bright lights, or
they are really dumb.
Or Jason Crow, or if he's going to do something with his,
and especially when they went to those that were the more blue lights, supposedly, but those are the worst. Those are even worse.
And they're not even on bright.
No,
they're just right in your eyes.
Yep.
And it's like almost you can feel the pain.
Also, some people don't know that you can adjust your headlight mountings, that they can move depending on if you adjust the screw. So sometimes those headlight mountings, if someone has done something to them, they're misaligned, and so they're pointing too high in the air. So you can screw it up that way too. But yeah, that's a little tip.
Do police give tickets for people drive around with their brights on?
They used to, not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore.
Do that anymore.
No. All righty. Blake Olson from our newsroom. You have the final decision this morning, sir. Gang violence or a lesson for us all?
Oh, let's go with the gang violence.
Yeah, gang violence, always an issue, especially if you're in Thailand. There's an area in Thailand known for its rich history, but it's got another draw recently for visitors. The problem is the visitors are coming to see the gangs. No, I'm not talking about regular gang violence. We're talking about monkey gangs. Yeah, monkey gangs in this town of Thailand. In fact, they're having a problem. So many tourists are coming in and they're feeding the monkeys and they're playing with them that the monkeys now think it's okay to come into the town and play with the people, and it costs them in order to get the food, causing tremendous problems to regular residents because the regular residents aren't as amenable to the monkeys doing their monkey stuff. And so they're getting accosted. They're actually sometimes being attacked by the monkeys. So recently, the town put up a series of large posters, 30 of them that are about 3 feet by about 4 feet. And they put them up all over the town to warn people, don't do this to monkeys, don't this. And the monkeys weren't having any of that. The monkey gangs came into town and they tore down the posters. Literally, they've got video and pictures. No, they are tearing down the posters. They've got one where he's chewing on the. Yes, they ripped the posters off the walls. I don't know how. I don't know why.
War of the
but it's
Planet of the
happened.
Apes. They're starting to talk to each other.
Exactly.
They had pictures of Curious George.
I know. That's it. Where's the dude with the yellow hat? I'm going to mess him up. Yeah. So literally, yes.
No way.
Yes, they did. They attacked the posters.
That.
I've got video and pictures. They attacked the posters and they tore them down. Oh, and that's the only thing. Of course, it's on You Choose the News. Hey, thank you, Blake, for playing along. And thank you, Jeff, as always. Blake and Jeff are our big winners. I'm just a giant loser. That's why I play with the monkey gangs. But I do want to remind you, this is proudly not sponsored by Roll 'em Out Shelves. You can see their work at rollemoutShelves.com. They are a reputable company that does not want to be involved in anything as silly as this. But they will happily come to your home to give you a free estimate on how to solve your clutter issues. Bathroom, kitchen, garage, wherever. They've got an affordable solution for you. Custom built, solid birch shelves. It's amazing. Check them out, rollemoutShelves.com. But whatever you do not mention You Choose the News. Back to you, sir.
All right. That was great, Bill. Look, President Biden is finally speaking into the violence that's happening on these college campuses. We'll get into that and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in Berlin, I'm Trent Murray, and here are the top stories we're following. More than 30 people have died and another 60 are missing after a hydroelectric dam collapsed in southern Brazil following days of heavy rain. Army helicopters have been dispatched to search for the missing, the accident occurring in the state of Rio Grande do Sul, where flooding has seen more than 15,000 people evacuated and power and clean water cut to 500,000 people. Witnesses say the dam burst, sending a 6.5-foot wave surging downstream, devastating towns in its path. Brazil's president has visited the region and pledged federal government support. The world's busiest airport for international travel is planning to move to a new facility in Dubai. Haley Bianco reports.
Within the next 10 years, Dubai will spend $35 billion to move its busiest airport for international travel to a sprawling airfield in the southern desert. Dubai International Airport is marking the latest chapter in the rebound of its long-haul carrier, Emirates, after the pandemic grounded international travel. Plans have been on the books for years to move operations of the airport known as DXB to an airport at Dubai World Central. The airport will include 5 parallel runways and 400 aircraft gates.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Trent Murray in Berlin on Salem News Channel.
All right, Joe Biden finally speaking out about the protests. Welcome back. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show. President Biden was sharply critical Thursday of aspects of protests that have swept across college campuses nationwide in response to the war in Gaza, condemning vandalism and trespassing, even as he defended the right to peacefully demonstrate. This is from The Hill. In moments like this, there's always those who rush in to score political points. But this isn't a moment for politics. It's a moment for clarity. So let me be clear. He's never clear. Violent protests is not protected. Peaceful protest is, Biden said in prepared remarks from the White House. He called out what has occurred at Columbia University and on other college campuses over the past week, which has garnered national attention as tensions have escalated and police dissemble encampments. Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduation. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people. Look, if you're an administrator at this point, you don't want these people on your college campuses anymore. Expel them.
Yeah.
Expel them. I understand they want to, if some want to speak out and have a peaceful protest, but even in this case, some of the peaceful protests are hateful words. They're just radical, anti-Semitic, hateful things,
Yeah.
and you don't want those people as part of your student body. Get them out of here. What a great opportunity. Get them out of here.
Good choice.
You know, they've self-selected. They've raised their hands. Expel them.
And have you seen the percentage of the people that are and are not part of the campus in the arrests?
Is
That's been interesting.
Is it 50-50 like you said?
Depends on which campus, but it's interesting. Yeah.
Wow. All right. We'll continue the conversation. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. It's 7 a.m. in the Mile High City, and it's Friday. The sun is shining. It's springtime in Denver. Can it get any better? You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe.
Can I vent for a second here?
Yeah, go for it.
We got I got to tell you, it is a beautiful day out there, and it's very, very nice. And we have geese that are in the parking lot here at the office.
And there's the mama geese right as you walk by.
Yeah, and
I tip my hat to her in the morning. I'm like, good morning, mama.
And evidently, I don't know if they don't like where I park, but I'm tired of them pooping in my car. 3 times this week, twice this week.
I saw them on tops of cars. They get on yours?
Yes. And yesterday left me 2 wonderfully large presents on the roof. That's fan-freaking-tastic. I don't want to kill the geese,
you need
but
to
they're
put the
pushing
little
me.
spikes on the top.
I'm going to have to.
The anti-bird spikes.
I have cat spikes at home for the snakes, so I can do that. I can put those on the roof. But I'm like, hey, so I had to, and I didn't want to. I didn't have time yesterday to wash the car, so I had to run the car through the car wash yesterday. Money I didn't want to spend, time I didn't have, had to do that, and then got super mad because the car wash that I ran it through didn't get all the stuff off the top. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I paid that much for this, and you can't even get the poop off the car. And so then I had to go and take the poop off the car myself. And so a little frustrated with the geese outside. I'm happy the warmer weather. Little frustrated. I might have to have goose dinner if this continues.
There's that little mama goose that has sitting on her eggs right by the front door there.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, and she's great because I'm certain she's not pooping on my car, so I'm not taking her out. I'm taking her relatives, and I'm okay with that because geese are delicious, as you know, sir. But I'm not above strangling geese in the parking lot. I'm okay with that. I might be in the news. It might not be a good thing, but I'm okay. Don't poop in the car. It makes me so mad. Sorry.
I saw them yesterday on top of cars, and I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, I feel better now. Thank you for that. I'm so mad. If they do it today, you're going to see me punching a goose after the show today. I will punch a goose. I got no problem. I will fight a goose.
Well, you just tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, bringing you the hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes crazy, and freshest insights as well. We're going to gather this hour. You're not going to want to miss this. Lauren Bobert's going to join us at about 7:30. She's going to respond. She's going to respond to this.
I raised 5 daughters, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. My 5 daughters, if they stood in front of me in a group of 20, 50, 100 people, dressed like Bobert, I would be disgusted. I don't know what her problem is. She needs to learn how to dress. Jerry's the old guard. He's kissed the ring. He's talked. He's got all the endorsements from all the old guard Republicans. But where has that gotten us, Jeff? Bill, where has that gotten us in the last 5-10 years? Well, Deborah Flora. Boy, you're making me opine about all of them. And she gave her little speech that she learned how to do when she was running for Miss Colorado or Miss America or whatever. Those speeches about, ending world hunger and saving the world. And she's all gloss and shine. And I don't know how much depth she has. She claims to be a fighter. I'm inside the Capitol fighting. She's been on the steps blowing that horn for education and talking through the bullhorn. But what has she done in politics? What has she done in public service? She went to Hollywood, spent a long time there.
That's Richard Holtoff yesterday on the Jeff and Bill Show, and we just kind of let him go. And he had some words to say. Those were his opponents in Congressional District 4. So I called and texted Lauren Bobert and Deborah Flora, and I said, would you all like to respond? And those ladies are, I'd like to respond.
And that was on the news.
That's right.
That's the other part, is we made the news with that.
Night News picking that up yesterday.
Yeah. So again, if you were here, you got all this information before Kyle and Sport Code and everybody else told you about it. So rest of Denver didn't know until later in the day. You knew first.
And Kyle Clark going to the defense of a Republican woman.
Yeah.
That in itself is news.
Yeah, defending Bobert. Like, yeah, that was interesting.
Normally likes to pick on him.
Yes.
So Lauren Bobert will be joining us here in about 20 minutes, so you're not going to want to miss that. And then Deborah Flora in the 8 o'clock hour. Let's go check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Morning, Jeff. Hey, Billy, it may not help that your car is only 5 inches off the ground.
Yeah, that's. I know that it is like if they're walking around, they're like, "What cars can we get on top and poop on?" Mine's number 1, and I know that. So again, but I'll fight a goose. I got very little shame. I will fight a
They,
goose.
they get territorial, man. They do that hiss.
Yes. Oh yeah. I hiss back at him though. I got no shame. I got no problem.
I could see one of them getting in your car and driving away.
Oh, they better not get inside the interior. My interior is in great shape. I will be so mad. I can watch the outside. They get in the inside. Oh, I am.
This is becoming a war of the words.
I'm showing up here with poison. I'm poisoning geese in the parking lot if that happens.
You got to take photos after the show.
So, Bill, you know I get here after you do.
Yeah, I know.
So I see your car in the parking lot.
Yeah, you do.
And I may or may not have left a little bread on top of it.
Oh, I will.
You need to put a lift kit on that car.
Oh no. I like the small cars. I don't like riding big and high. I like the tiny ones. I like down near the ground. I like that's
some huge tires on that thing, man.
Oh God,
Lift
no. No. Oh no.
Sorry, I was just picturing this, and I'm like, I can just see you getting into your car.
Oh, I'm certain that's what it is. I'm certain it's just
and
that.
They're bad right over there by the station, no doubt. All right, 46 and sunny in Denver. Expecting highs in the mid 60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, 10 law enforcement officers who lost their lives in the line of duty will have their names added to the Colorado Law Enforcement Memorial in Golden this morning. 3 of the officers died between 2022 and 2023. The memorial ceremony begins at 10 at the State Patrol Academy. It's now up to the governor to decide if Colorado police must regulate the use of prone restraints. The bill is headed to his desk after passing the Senate with changes. Instead of a complete ban on arresting a suspect face down, law enforcement agencies need to create specific policies and post them online. This includes how and when officers will lift the suspects up into a recovery position so they can breathe better. The tactic is meant to be used when someone is resisting or potentially dangerous to officers. If signed, the law would start in 2026. Denver police say the fatal shooting of a man in Green Valley Ranch Wednesday was related to a domestic violence incident. Police say they've arrested 59-year-old Valerie London Griffin in connection with the shooting, and she's being held on second-degree murder charges. The victim's identity has not been released. Hamas supporters at Auraria campus rejected a proposal that may have ended their ongoing demonstration. A group of donors offered to make a $15,000 donation to the International Red Cross if the demonstrators left the quad by 5 o'clock Thursday. The protesters accused the donors of trying to bribe them into being complicit with genocide in Gaza.
Students standing united here. Yeah. Other people united against genocide here. Yeah. That's right. I cannot believe that anyone would want us to donate to Tel Aviv in the name of SDS while the genocide is being carried out in Palestine. That is deeply insulting, and to that we say shame.
Shame. Shame. All Hamas has to do is surrender and lives will be saved, by the way. President Biden got the memo from his supporters, and he read that prompter.
Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not peaceful protest. It's against the law.
And former President Trump's trial continues in New York this morning.
I'm not allowed to talk. There's never been any abuse like this before. This conflicted judge trying to get out of this case.
All right, it's 43 in Brighton, 44 in Littleton, and 46 in Denver. Rockies swept in South Florida. They start a series today in Pittsburgh. Nuggets and the Avalanche getting ready for the playoffs. Nuggets take on the T-Wolves tomorrow. Avalanche still awaiting their next opponent, whether it's the Golden Knights or the Stars. They'll soon find out.
And go! no country come in the Kentucky Derby.
Fierceness is the favorite at 5-2 odds at tomorrow's 150th running of the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs in Louisville. Jeff and Bill continue on this Friday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for breezy conditions today, a chance of some scattered areas of showers and a few thunderstorms come late afternoon and evening. We'll be up near 70 degrees. Lows tonight will be a bit colder, mid to upper 30s, and windy. Breezy, 60 Saturday, isolated showers and thunderstorms late, 40 Saturday night, all the way to the upper 70s Sunday. Gusty south winds with showers and thunderstorms late, then windy and cooler. Few showers Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
I just got a text into the studio here, some breaking news. You remember that Governor Kristi Noem was going to come for a Jeffco Republican fundraiser, the Lincoln Day fundraising dinner, and they had to cancel.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's a real bummer. I asked Nancy Pelosi, the chair of the Jefferson County Republicans, to quickly jump on with us, give us an update. She's kind enough to join us. Nancy, thanks for being on the Jeff and Bill show.
Yes, thank you for calling.
So it has to do with security issues, huh? Is that what happened?
Yes, you know, it's very sad that our culture has come to this point where we are not able to bring in a speaker of any sorts without having a lot of problems. And you know, I understand that, well, it all started with, we all know this news article that came out here a week ago. But it's very sad it has escalated to this point to where we were all receiving death threats, including myself.
Really?
It is really, really bad.
Death threats. Jeez.
The governor has received many death threats, her office, of course. We received them, and actually the hotel did too. And when I received a phone call from the hotel saying that they got a message that there will be guns and there may be people who get hurt, I had to take another look at this.
Hold on. I mean, think of the logic here. I'm so angry that somebody shot a dog and a goat that I am going to shoot you.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. I can't believe this.
It was really bad. I received all kinds of phone calls from people, emails, of course, and on Wednesday evening, I spoke to the governor's office, and we had to make this decision to cancel it. The governor is very upset, of course. She was going to be here. We were going to have a beautiful evening. But we have to keep everybody's safety and concern here.
Right.
It got too bad, and I had to make that decision.
So that decision came from you. It didn't come from the governor or from the hotel. It came from.
It was a mutual decision between the three of us, to be very honest. Yes.
Wow. I'm sorry because, and Nancy, you were kind enough to come on the show. I felt like you could disagree with what she did. I thought that's perfectly acceptable to disagree, but to bring her out because one, we're not a cancel culture type of people. Republicans aren't, conservatives aren't. We listen to people. And if Kristi Noem wanted to make her case, we should allow her to make her case.
Mm-hmm.
But even more than that, this was a fundraiser for Jefferson County Republicans.
Yes.
And we know the direction Jeffco's gone. You have avowed socialists, communists on city councils in places like Lakewood. And the local Republicans need to be empowered to try to get their community back. And this was not a fundraiser for Kristi Noem. This was a fundraiser for Jefferson County Republicans. And so I thought it was great. You have a big headliner. You got a lot of attention. Hopefully we can raise a lot of money for local Republicans. And unfortunately, this isn't going to happen. I'm so sorry that you've had to go through this. How are you doing?
No, I'm okay. It's kind of been emotional, to be very honest, because I worked very hard for this. Several people have worked very hard, and we were so excited about this. You know, we planned this way before we knew any of this. We didn't know what was in that excerpt in the book.
Sure.
And it just was going to be a wonderful night with a person who was going to encourage us as a county to get behind the candidates that we have and to do this. And it was going to be a major fundraiser for us. I was on the thinks of, bringing in possibly $100,000. The tickets were just flying out the door. Yesterday, I spoke to many. Yesterday was all about talking on the phone with all of our donors and our ticket holders yesterday, thanking them for being part of the party. And many of them just said, just keep it, because we know that this was going for the cause.
Oh, that's nice.
But, there was many that everybody will get a refund of whatever if they want to.
Is the hotel gonna continue to charge you all, or did they give you a refund too?
The hotel is working with us. We did lose some money. Yes, this was not done with being free. I have 300 copies of Kristi Noem's books.
The one with the story in it about the dog and goat.
Yeah. So
wow, 300 copies of that. Oh my goodness.
But we'll recover as that. But it really was about Jeffco is trying to move not only Jeffco forward, but we're trying to move Colorado forward. Jeffco has always been this county. Whatever the voters of Jeffco do, that is where the state usually goes. It's been that way for forever. And so, as being the new chair, I guess, of the party, I have hopes that we're going to change Jeffco, and I really feel that we are, and that this was just going to give us a break in terms of giving us the money to do some things politically that we haven't done for a very long time.
Talking with Nancy Pelosi, she's the chair of the Jefferson County Republican Party, and she was going to host an event with Governor Kristi Noem. She planned it prior to all this coming out, and then when the excerpts of the book came out, well, she didn't want to cancel, and I think that's right that she didn't cancel, and she wanted to host the event. And protesters and death threats have forced her hand in this, forced the governor's hand as well as the venue's hand. But you do mention in here Progress Now. Progress Now, and people, this is important for people to know. It's a progressive organization here in Colorado. It was formerly led by Ian Silveri, who's the husband of Brittany Pedersen. Brittany Pedersen, the congresswoman that represents Jefferson County. So you kind of see how they're all in on this. But what was Progress Now's role in organizing opposition to this dinner?
Well, it went viral in terms of all of this. I have proof. This is not something that I just threw out there. I know what this is going on. They publicly put out there that they are coming in force, and that they were to be there as a protest and to bring their dogs on leashes. And I have come across a lot of movements that this Progress Now has done in numerous ways. But it's pretty sad what they do. And yes, it is part of Brittany Pedersen, who is our congresswoman, and it's sick what they're doing. It really is.
Now, Nancy, I've got a question for you. As far as the planning and everything going forward, just to give the audience an idea, just thumbnail sketch, you talked a little bit about it, but thumbnail sketch, the number of months and number of hours it takes to put together a Lincoln Day dinner of this magnitude, because I want the audience to understand the amount of work that, because of some people's asshattery, is going down the drain. How much time and effort has gone into planning this dinner?
Thank you for asking that. This has been in works of 2.5 months. Is when we first started this. And, I put in, this is a volunteer position that I have as chair of the Jeffco Republican Party. And I put in a minimum of 40 to 60 hours a week to work on this on the county. I have personally, oh gosh, I can't even count the number of hours that I have done, but it requires, finding a venue, working with the venue, talking to them. This week alone, I probably have put in 40 hours talking to the governor's office. It takes a lot of work bringing in a person in this magnitude. You got security issues. You're down to the absolute minute in terms of her schedule and where she goes, what she's doing, to that nature. I mean, we knew exactly the minute the plane was going to touch the ground, when she was going to get to the hotel. I mean, it is very detailed and a lot of work, many, many hundreds of hours we have put into this.
And can you also talk to me about navigating the difficult nature it is to just get a guest of this stature? Jeff has done this for West Conservative Summit, but I want to have you talk about this, how finding someone that you can get in touch with that can sell tickets, that's going to be received by the audience, because you could bring somebody else in, but if they're not going to fill the venue, it's worthless. So you've got to pick the right person for the right audience at the right time. And Jeff knows this more intimately than any of us in this conversation. But talk to me about how difficult it was to, one, target, what national figure you want to bring in, and then two, the conversations just with the governor's office, with trying to get her schedule to match up with yours, to make sure everything works, and how difficult that is to pull this off.
Yes, it really is. It's very difficult. I mean, when we reached out to her, you can't say, well, you can give them an approximate date that you would like them to come in, but they have to go through her schedule. With somebody with her magnitude, things change on a minute's notice. And so we were very, very fortunate that this person could come in to do this. And it's, Jeff knows in terms of how it is, but we were extremely excited. I sent out, I sent out invitations to many people of her caliber, to be very honest. I'm a person who always thinks big. I could always bring in other people that are part of the political party here, locally, or even a little bit beyond that. But I wanted something big. I think big, and I wanted it, and I got it. She is a fabulous person. Whatever you can say about it, she has done so much for the state of South Dakota. And there are so many people here who live in South Dakota. And I looked at that, and I know a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that are from South Dakota. And a lot of the people who came here, the big donors that we received, I lost thousands of dollars over this. I'm not kidding you. They love her, these South Dakotans who have moved to Colorado. And I've talked to them. They're upset, but they understand, of course, what's going on here. They want, her to be safe as well. But I knew that this was going to bring in a whole different caliber for our county and for the state, and people from all over the state were coming to this.
Yeah. Oh, this sucks.
People are not going to lay low on this. They're mad. They're really mad.
Nancy Pelosi, chair of the Jefferson
going,
County Republican Party, she just released a statement canceling Governor Kristi Noem fundraising event that was going to take place here this weekend. As the host of an organization or of an event like that, Nancy, you always got to put the safety of your attendees first and foremost. I think you probably had to make the right decision in this case, making sure that their safety was prioritized, the safety of the governor was prioritized. I'm sorry you had to deal with this in the state. And again, the logic of, we're so angry that someone shot a goat that we're going to issue death threats. That's the type of person you are, that issues that type of threats. I don't get it. But I appreciate you jumping on the phone with us this quick and giving us an update. I really appreciate it, Nancy.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
And hope you have a good day.
And if you want to support Jefferson County Republicans, you need to. I'm going to jeffcorepublicans.com, jeffcorepublicans.com, because this, at the end of the day, was about supporting local Republicans.
Yeah. And just a reminder, This is the same crowd issuing the death threats that don't want to let Kristi Noem speak, is the same crowd that's telling Republicans what they can speak and say in the well. So you want to talk about freedom of speech. Yep. You want to talk people that are threatening the Constitution. You want to talk about people that don't necessarily follow the dance they claim to. They'll be all over the protesters down at Aurora campus to make sure their freedom of speech to talk about pro-Hamas and anti-Israel is absolutely defended. But God forbid you bring in someone like Kristi Noem and give her a closed, private venue where she gets to say what she wants, not out in public in the streets, not in our parks, not in our quads, not in our campuses. Private venue, private event. She's not allowed to speak. But God forbid we do the same thing or say the same things about who shouldn't be allowed to speak at these protests, right? Yeah, right. I know who you are.
We'll continue up next. Lauren Bobert joins us, so you're not going to want to miss that. She responds to Richard Holtoff and his statements yesterday. So be sure to stick around. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Yesterday, State Representative Richard Holtoff had some words for his opponents in the Congressional District 4 primary. Here's what he had to say.
You know, I raised 5 daughters, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. My 5 daughters, if they stood in front of me in a group of 20, 50, 100 people, dressed like Bobert, I would be disgusted. I don't know what her problem is. She needs to learn how to dress. You know, Jerry's the old guard. He's kissed them.
We'll get into other parts of what he said later, but I asked good friend of the show, Representative Lauren Bobert, to respond, and she joined us today, and I appreciate that. Representative Lauren Bobert, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Bill. It is great to be on with y'all today.
So when you heard what your opponent in the primary for Congressional District 4 said about you, what did you think?
Well, my first reaction is please just let Richard Holtorff talk as much as possible from now until June 25th, because every time this guy says something, he exposes to the world just who he is. But here's the deal. I am not here to cause a bunch of division in the Colorado Republican Party. We are in a primary. There are many candidates, and we are all going to have to come together at the end of this. And I'm not here to dump on my opponents and expose them for whatever it may be, especially if it's not policy. It's one thing to disagree on policy. It's another to just go after characteristics or high heels. And so it just shows the level of integrity that Richard would have in a position like this. Let me tell you what my week was like. So first of all, it started in Douglas County just a few days ago, where I brought my grandson to a meeting. I'm a mom of 4 boys. I'm a Gigi of 1. And I had the honor of having my grandson with me for a few days. And I wasn't about to let him out of my sight. Our time together is limited, and I want to enjoy every moment that I can. Well, there was a woman in this meeting who had the audacity to stand up and say how offensive it was that I brought my grandson to a, quote, business meeting. You know, there's about 30 Republicans there. We have a impromptu little forum. Okay. And she was deeply offended that I brought my grandson with me. Wasn't crying, wasn't making a fuss, wasn't disruptive, but he is the embodiment of what I'm fighting for. He is the tangible representation in the room of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then from there, I go to Washington, D.C. and actually deliver for Colorado. Pass legislation to remove the gray wolf from the endangered species list, something that is currently impacting our farmers, our ranchers right here in Colorado. I took on Hamas protesters, tried my darndest to remove a Palestinian flag from a George Washington statue at George Washington University. And then I defended our First Amendment right with this anti-Semitism bill that came up that was completely unconstitutional, well-intended for sure, to take a stand for our allies in the Middle East, but a complete unconstitutional resolution that was passed out of the House. And then I come home to hear Richard Holtoff complaining about my high heels. You know, this isn't my priority by any means. My priority is delivering for Coloradans and making sure that our farmers and ranchers have a voice, that they aren't left powerless against the wolf attacks that are currently taking place against their livestock, and that we still have our constitutional rights to stand up for to have here in America. And you know, Richard can complain about my shade of lipstick or high heels or whatever it may be for the week. But I also see this guy each and every day that I'm on the campaign trail in Colorado, and I haven't heard him say any of this to my face, you know, and in person, he's buddy with me. So just keep having Richard on, let him talk. People see who he really is the more he talks, and I will continue to legislate for Colorado.
Talking with Representative Lauren Bobert, did you find his comments sexist?
Well, so I think in my position, you know, that's something that I don't dig too deep into when it comes to myself. everyone has an opinion about me one way or the other. And so I never go in and say, oh, this is misogynistic, this is sexist, this is whatever it may be, because I have tough skin and a tender heart. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm here to serve people, and I have to let that stuff roll off. So I know that it's not a good thing when Kyle Clark is defending Lauren Bobert on 9 News. You know, Richard has a way of, I guess, like Kyle Clark said, you know, putting his foot in his mouth. And, you know, I can't focus on how it made me feel or the flavor of what he said yesterday or tomorrow, because that is a distraction to what our overall goal is. And like I said, I'm not here to, you know, bring division to the Republican Party. We are the party of family values. I you know, will continue to bring my grandson to meetings, no matter how business-like they are. He is my business. This is what I'm fighting for. And I'm going to continue to legislate effectively and aggressively in high heels.
Now, Lauren Bobert joined Jeff and Bill, responding to Richard Holtorff in his comments here yesterday. I want to broaden the conversation just a little bit because you talked about how everybody has an opinion on Lauren Bobert. I want to talk about the process you had to go through to grow the callous skin, because you were a restaurant owner before, and not everybody in town is always going to be happy with a restaurant owner, but you are on a level that's different. And what is the process you've had to go through to insulate yourself from the slings and arrows of both people that are Republicans and also Democrats, and even Kyle Clark at Channel 9, the times that he does, but he did defend you this time, which is fantastic. But talk to us about how difficult that has been, being a mother and, you know, having to take care of your kids at the same time that it seems that everybody in America has an opinion about you.
Yes, well, staying focused and on track, doing what I promised voters that I would do is my number one goal. But I would think that I would say that I've been conditioned and developed this tough skin throughout life. I grew up in a Democrat household, and you know, we were in that cycle of poverty where I had to learn to get tough when times were tough, and they made me stronger. When I saw that I could do my own part to break out of that cycle of poverty, and I didn't have to stand in line for bread and government cheese in some Denver warehouse, that I could actually put my hand to something and create wealth and prosperity working at McDonald's. You know, that showed me a different way to approach life. And I realized early on that I couldn't afford to have a victim mentality and wait for a handout, that I had to do my part to step up and chase after whatever it was that I was desiring. And it did start at McDonald's. And, you know, at McDonald's, I mean, you talk about being a restaurant owner and folks having an opinion or complaints or whatever it may be. Well, that certainly happens at McDonald's. And I could tell you firsthand that when you are working at somewhere like McDonald's and you have a visor and a green polyester shirt and some and your, you know, awful black khakis and your non-slip black shoes, everyone thinks they're better than you. And whenever you come through that drive-through, there's already an opinion formulated about the people who are about to serve you your meal, and it's not always pleasant. And so I think it started way back at McDonald's, knowing that everybody who drove through, they assumed they made more money than me, and they were doing better in life than I was, and they were going to have, you know, some sort of complex about it, and let me know it as well, that they were doing better than I was. So I think that tough skin started way back then. To having a restaurant, my restaurant was somewhat controversial. You know, I've had an open carry restaurant in Rifle, Colorado. All of my waitresses carried firearms. And so people had their opinions. There were stories. And, you know, I learned quick, though, it was when the locals, when they started attacking, you know, that's when I started to take it personal and would, you know, feel the hurt of it. These are people that I love, that I serve. I'm here in this community wanting to provide a service for you and make this a better place, bring folks in who would otherwise drive by our small little town on I-70 during their travel adventures. And, you know, when it was the locals who were sending the arrows my way, you know, that's when it hurt. But again, when times get tough, you have to get tougher. And I think it conditioned me for this position that I'm in now. The slings and the arrows that are slung my way, they don't define me. That is not where I get my value from. My value is, I think I say it every time I'm on this show, my value is in serving others and seeing how I can provide for others in a unique way. So I cannot afford to allow the attacks to bring me down. When it comes to my family, usually it's talks with my family that I have. When it's someone really close to me and I feel like that, a one-on-one conversation needs to be had, I'll have it and express that. But I cannot let any of this slow me down. The work that I'm doing, I believe, is too precious and important at this time to get caught up in my own personal woes. There is almost 1 million people that I am currently serving, and I'm looking to serve an additional 750,000 plus people in Colorado. And I cannot afford to let the naysayers get in the way of that.
Talking with Representative Lauren Bobert, you had a big victory on Tuesday when the House voted to end federal protection of gray wolves in 48 states. This was a bill you authored. Tell folks about it.
Yes. So since we learned of the ballot initiative result that we were going to get more wolves in Colorado, I have been trying to come up with a way to prevent that, stop it, slow it down. Now, my legislation, it removes the gray wolf from the Federal Endangered Species Act list. And there's been a political ping pong game of this for quite some time. In the Obama administration, the gray wolf was delisted. Ken Salazar, a Democrat from Colorado who was Secretary of the Interior, had the gray wolf delisted. Secretary Bernhardt and President Trump has had the gray wolf delisted. And now, we're back at this ping pong and they're back on the Endangered Species Act list. And I am doing everything that I can legislatively to remove them because wolves do not understand arbitrary boundaries. And the wolves that we are bringing to Colorado will go into our neighboring states. And I want to make sure that ranchers and farmers have the ability to protect their private property, to protect their livestock, that our wildlife is not endangered and that ecosystem is not negatively impacted. And so I authored my Trust the Science Act, because if we're going to trust the science, the data says that the gray wolf is fully recovered. There are some 30,000 gray wolves in Northern America, and it does not need to be on the Endangered Species Act list. This is a success story, and the left should be celebrating the ESA success story that they had this animal protected, and now it is fully recovered, and it no longer needs those protections that the ESA requires or demands. But also, our farmers and ranchers so desperately need to be able to protect what is theirs. We have predators that attack livestock on a regular basis, and our farmers are able to neutralize those threats. And with the gray wolf, they have to sit back and watch it happen. We have one rancher who has lost up to 5 cattle in a 10-day span in Grant County. And so this is something that is impacting now the livelihoods of Coloradans, and we have to take action against it. But it was a huge win to have that legislation passed on with a bipartisan vote out of the House, and I would love for the Senate to take that up and actually see them delisted. But it might be something that we have to wait for the next administration to get it completely across the finish line. Yeah,
let's talk about the fact that Yadira Caraveo, the congresswoman from Congressional District 8 here in Colorado, a Democrat, came across the aisle and joined you in voting for this bill. How did that relationship develop? How did she support this bill?
Well, I think she's trusting the science here and using some common sense, because those wolves are in her district as well. If you go to the state of Colorado's map that shows where these wolves have been tracked, it's a very large landmass that they are covering. And I mean, they're covering, what looks like a day on the campaign trail with Lauren Bobert right now, which is pretty massive. And She understands that her constituents are being impacted this. And if she's actually out and listening to voters, then she's going to hear about it everywhere she goes. I certainly hear about it everywhere I go. Even in Yuma, Colorado, folks are concerned about the gray wolf because they understand their migratory patterns and just how large of an area one wolf can travel. And so she has to be hearing about this each and every day, just like I am, and everyone else who is actually talking to Coloradans. And this is a big, big deal. We know that Denver and Boulder are the counties who voted to get the wolves back in Colorado, more wolves than we already had. We had some on the ground, but they wanted this gray wolf introduced, this massive species. It's a very violent predator. And, I think if Denver and Boulder are the ones who want them, then in this age of identification, then we just all need to identify as trappers, go out and get these wolves and bring them to Denver and Boulder. They're the ones who want them.
Speaking of that, and the truth that they are already here, you're going to have to deal with wolves on the eastern plains as well. They've captured one from the Great Lakes region that had come in to Elbert County. Elbert County is seeing wolves. So, yeah, they're going to end up in Denver and Boulder eventually. If you want to learn more.
These wolves are not going to just stay in Gunnison County. They are going all over our state and eventually into our tribes as well. And I've talked to the chairman of the Ute Mountain Ute and the Southern Utes, and they do not want these wolves either. They're even considering taking advantage of a treaty that they have with the federal government and saying, we will take action if there is a wolf within 100 miles of our tribe, of our tribal land.
Talking with Representative Lauren Bobert. Her website's laurenforcolorado.com. If you want to learn more about her, laurenforcolorado.com. She has a cash advantage. She's got the endorsement of President Trump. She's leading in the polls. Are you going to win the primary for Congressional District 4?
I am going to win the primary for Congressional District 4. And again, that's why I can't allow myself to get involved in the attacks that come, because the Republican Party has got to unify, and we have to do something to start gaining momentum again here in Colorado, taking back the local races and building up this coalition in every area of Colorado, not just at a federal level. It's not just about President Trump and these congressional seats on the ballot. It's everything. And so we cannot afford to have the infighting. And listen, I've been to dozens of forums, debates, meetings, and talks, and people don't have the appetite for it right now. They do not have the appetite for the local infighting of the Republican Party, especially when you have thousands of volunteers who give up their Fridays, their Saturdays, their evenings, their weekends to do their part to take Colorado back. And if we are going to get in these positions and just spit on one another each and every day, that does not honor the time that is being spent by so many who are volunteering to take back what has been destroyed by leftist policies here in Colorado. So we have to unify at the end of this primary. I'm going to win. And I'll be happy to be Richard Holtorff's representative, and I will represent him very well. I have a track record of doing exactly what I say in Washington, D.C., delivering results not only on a national level, but for Colorado. And that's going to continue to be my focus.
Representative Lauren Bobert looking to mend fences with Representative Richard Holtorff after remarks he made yesterday. Lauren, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Thanks so much. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. And you better believe I'll have my high heels on when we talk next.
Representative Lauren Bobert.
That's wonderful.
Her website again, laurenforcolorado.com. Coming up next, Deborah Flora is going to join us, also a candidate for Congressional District 4. We'll ask her how she's going to win, how she's going to govern, and how she felt about what Richard Holtorff said yesterday. All the news, all the discussion is taking place on the Jeff and Bill Show. So stick around. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710. KNUS.
She's in the studio. Deborah Flora is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour, right after the commercial break, to respond to Richard Holtorff's comments about her yesterday.
This will be interesting.
I think he called her a failed actress.
Yeah, I think so.
Lip gloss, a lot of lip gloss and shine, but no depth.
Yeah.
And then got into kind of the beauty pageant stuff as well. So,
interesting.
And Deborah Flora has some breaking news for us. She's going to announce here a major endorsement of her campaign in just a few minutes.
Hey,
this is a big one.
I don't even know about this.
Yeah.
Keeping secrets.
She just told me.
Oh, we're friends. Cool. And then you throw this at me? It's just okay. Now I got to sit with the rest of the people here.
And I asked her if she wanted the captain seat back because you know her. She had a show on this station in the afternoons, and it was the perfect time. It was the mom carpool time.
Yeah.
And dads. So I do a lot of the pickup too, and you're just hanging out in those carpool lanes. And she came in and did a great job hosting her show. Yeah. But the way the FCC rules work is the second you announce you're running, you got to walk away from your show.
Which is weird because you don't have equal time rules anymore. It's really weird.
Yeah, I think it's seen as an in-kind campaign contribution.
Yeah,
like they could just sit there and talk about how great they are for hours, which she didn't do.
It's weird, but yeah.
So breaking news, response to Richard Holtorff. You're going to get it all on the Jeff and Bill Show.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KNUS.
8 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe.
Yeah, we're making news.
We're having fun today.
Yes, we are.
Our little friend over at 9 News actually defending Republican women.
Yeah,
That's the
that
first
was a
time I've seen
surprise. Yeah, and I'm still holding a little bit that we only got the little tiny graphic at the top of the thing. Not even the bug. Not even the bug that says KNUS, the red and the black, and the very nice thing that we do. We didn't get that graphic. At least though, he did get the show name and the call letters, and that was there. So I appreciate that. But that's all I want.
I appreciate the fact they're listening because we end up with, especially with our candidate interviews, the leftist blogs cover all that and repost it and stuff.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We do.
We do. We appreciate you guys. and we're talking, we're doing some stuff. We're going to see if anything can come together. We're trying to put together something behind the scenes. We talked about the Lincoln Day dinner for Jefferson County Republicans has been canceled. We talked about that last hour. Nancy Pelosi joined us to announce that really sad news. Has to do with Kristi Noem and a bunch of death threats. Ass hats out there, people that are yelling and screaming about rights to free speech and protesters and how we need to understand the protesters on college campuses. Then make phone calls to hotels and to officials and things about death and guns at events. So nice job, guys, to upholding those liberal stances that you say.
Even if progress now was just going to bring dogs,
even then.
That's fine. That's a fine protest. I actually think that's pretty creative.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's really creative. And if I was going to be an advisor for Kristi, what I would do is I would tell her, we're going to go get you a bag of milk bones and you're going to make friends with the dogs. We're going to have you talk to the dogs. And so as you're walking in.
Smart. Yeah. So look, she doubled down. We're going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but she doubled down on it and said, no, I need to, this was a dangerous animal that was harming my kids. That's not what you wrote in the book.
Yeah, it wasn't. No.
But and going that route, she could look, if Michael Vick can partner with the Humane Society of the United States.
Exactly. Yes. And
Kristi Noem can get out of this.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, but you give her
going the wrong route.
You give her like 15 milk bones and have them break them in half, and you just walk up and you make friends with the dogs. You're going in there. It breaks the narrative of her walking by all the dogs. And now she's being nicey nice with the dogs. Totally breaks the narrative. That's what you do. But again, they did some death threats and some things. So the Lincoln Day dinner has been canceled, and it's a bunch of crap. So Jeff and I are working on some stuff behind the scenes. See if we can help them out, because that's just not.
I'd love to have Kristi on the show. Look, I disagreed with what she did with the dog and the goat.
Sure,
but we don't cancel people.
No,
and
not for that. There's so many other issues, people.
There you go. I'm really excited to get to our next guest. You know her. She was a host on 710 KNUS for years. Deborah Flora will be joining us in just a second, not only to respond to what Richard Holtoff said yesterday about her, but she's got a major endorsement, big one, she's about to announce. And we'll get to that right after the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. 51 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the mid 60s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
I raised 5 daughters, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. My 5 daughters, if they stood in front of me in a group of 20, 50, 100 people, dressed like Bobert, I would be disgusted. I don't know what her problem is.
Richard Holtoff, who's running in Congressional District 4, went off on his Republican opponents on the Jeff and Bill Show on Thursday. A few minutes ago, Congresswoman Lauren Bobert responded.
Please just let Richard Holtorff talk as much as possible from now until June 25th, because every time this guy says something, he exposes to the world just who he is. I'm not here to dump on my opponents and expose them for whatever it may be, especially if it's not policy. It's one thing to disagree on policy. It's another to just go after characteristics or high heels.
Bobert says she continues to fight for Colorado and D.C. and will not let this slow her down. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem was scheduled to speak to Jeffco Republicans this weekend, but after the story of Noem writing in her book about shooting the dog and the goat, Nancy Pelosi and the Jeffco Republicans were receiving numerous death threats, and for safety reasons, they've had to cancel.
Everybody will get a refund of whatever they if they want to. The hotel is working with us. We did lose some money. Yes, this was not done with being free. I have 300 copies of the book.
Denver police say the fatal shooting of a man in Green Valley Ranch Wednesday was related to a domestic violence accident. Police say they've arrested 59-year-old Valerie London Griffin in connection with the shooting, and she's being held on second-degree murder charges. Hamas supporters at Auraria campus rejected a proposal that may have ended their ongoing demonstration. A group of donors offered to make a $15,000 donation to the International Red Cross if the demonstrators left the quad by 5 o'clock Thursday. The protesters accused the donors of trying to bribe them into being complicit with genocide in Gaza.
Students standing united here. Other people united against genocide here. That's right. I cannot believe that anyone would want us to donate to Tel Aviv in the name of SDS while the genocide is being carried out in Palestine. That is deeply insulting, and to that we say shame. Shame!
Right, shame. And President Biden got the memo from his supporters and said the right things a little late to the party.
Destroying property is not a peaceful protest. It's against the law. Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not peaceful protest. It's against the law.
And former President Trump's trial continues in New York today. It's 47 in Broomfield, 46 in Castle Pines, 51 in Denver. Rockies swept in South Florida. They start a series today in Pittsburgh. Nuggets and the Avalanche getting ready for their playoffs. Coming up tomorrow for the Nuggets and the Avalanche, still awaiting to see who their opponent will be. The 150th running of the Kentucky Derby from Louisville coming up tomorrow. Jeff and Bill continue with Deb coming up right now on this Friday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for breezy conditions today, a chance of some scattered areas of showers and a few thunderstorms come late afternoon and evening. We'll be up near 70 degrees. Lows tonight will be a bit colder, mid to upper 30s, and windy. Breezy, 60 Saturday, isolated showers and thunderstorms late, 40 Saturday night, all the way to the upper 70s Sunday. Gusty south winds with showers and thunderstorms late, then windy and cooler. Few showers Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Joining us in studio is Deborah Flora. And I want to play a little bit of what Richard Holtoff said yesterday. He was on our show. He's a candidate for Congressional District 4. We asked him about his opponents. And true to form, Richard Holtoff had some strong opinions.
You know, I raised 5 daughters, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. My 5 daughters, if they stood in front of me in a group of 20, 50, 100 people, dressed like Bobert, I would be disgusted. I don't know what her problem is. She needs to learn how to dress. You know, Jerry's the old guard. He's kissed the ring. He's talked. He's got all the endorsements from all the old guard Republicans. But where has that gotten us, Jeff? Bill, where's that gotten us in the last 5, 10 years? Well, Deborah Flora. Boy, you're making me opine about all of them. And she gave her little speech that she learned how to do when she was running for Miss Colorado or Miss America or whatever. They, you know, those speeches about, ending world hunger and saving the world. And she's all gloss and shine. And I don't know how much depth she has. She claims to be a fighter. I'm inside the Capitol fighting. She's been on the steps blowing that horn for education and talking through the bullhorn. But what has she done in politics? What has she done in public service? You know, she went to Hollywood, spent a long time there.
All right, Deborah Flora, when you heard that, how did it make you feel?
I thought it was very fun because I really thought, you know what, first of all, the voters of CD4 really are looking for someone who's going to focus on the issues that they are dealing with, not the personal attacks, the petty name calling or anything like that. And it's a real opportunity because there's such a contrast in this race. And it just gives me one more opportunity to talk to the voters. And I think it's funny too, because, you know, it's right where you're sitting, Jeff. That's where I sat for years, not just as a radio host, but as the director of public policy, fighting to stop the terrible policies coming out of DC, coming out of Denver. And I'm so grateful that the voters know that. And what they're really looking for is someone that is going to fight for them every single day, like I've been doing over years, whether it's for parental rights, educational freedom, protecting children, you know, stopping what's happening at the border. Right here in this station, I was proud to help lead that charge to reverse the sanctuary status of Colorado when we went down there last year and had a petition. So I just thought it was a whole lot of fun and just gives us one more opportunity for our campaign to talk about why we are winning over this wonderful group of voters in CD4 and why we've got that big announcement to share with you right now.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that in just a second, though.
You got it.
Did you find it sexist?
You know, that we live in such a world of identity politics. I just found it to be one more thing that is dividing our party. You know, when we look at the makeup of our electorate, growing up here on Lowry Air Force Base, we were nearly 40% Republicans. I talked to so many great Republicans and who are now unfortunately considering becoming unaffiliated. The reason why is not our principles. It's our personal attacks. They're tired of the division and the drama. So I just think generally, personal attacks are just beneath those who want to serve honorably without drama, representing the great people of CD4.
You know, we just hosted Lauren Bobert on as well. Here's what I'm seeing from both of you on this. Is you kind of know Richard, right? It's like, well, it's like when one of your buddies, you may not agree with what he says and you may, you know, generally find it offensive, but it's, you know, it's Richard. Is that, I mean, both of you kind of be like, I'm on the campaign trail. I see this guy regularly. I have no animosity towards him. And so you kind of seem to be brushing it off, similar to the way Lauren responded.
Well, I think the thing is there is such a contrast, which is great. I have put over 15,000 miles on my car traveling these 21 counties. I've been at over 250 appearances and meet and greets, listening to voters since I got into this race. And the number one thing I'm hearing from everyone is they are tired of the personal attacks. They're tired of the drama. They're tired of the dysfunction that's going on in DC. They're tired of all of that. And what they want is someone who is laser focused, as I am, on the issues that keep them up at night. The open border, the nearly $35 trillion of debt that's growing by $1 trillion every 100 days, who is focused solely on serving them honorably, being the conservative fighter they can be proud of. So that's why I just brush it off, because we are winning and have so much momentum because the voters know that's what I'm focused on. What matters to them, not personal attacks. And it's time to just stop that dysfunction and drama. And that's really where we're focused. And so it's just one more opportunity to talk about that contrast.
So let's talk about the race.
Yes.
Lauren Bobert has a cash advantage. She's got the endorsement from Donald Trump. And in some polls, she seems to be leading. How do you defeat Lauren Bobert?
The wonderful thing about this race is the contrast. And I just want to go ahead and make this announcement here because it is breaking news.
Sure.
This morning, we just received the endorsement from the Gazette. And one of the things that I so appreciate about that is because they recognize that it is time for new leadership. It's time for big, bold ideas instead of business as usual. It's time to get back to what I call Reagan Republicanism, where we focus on persuading our neighbors to join us. Right now in DC, there is so much dysfunction. The Republicans look like we cannot even govern ourselves, let alone govern a country. And so people know that I am a fighter, but I'm a fighter on principle, not personal attacks. And we are losing ground as Republicans, not because our principles don't work. They do. We have the principles and the policies to solve every single issue. But where we are losing is on the personalities that people are tired of. So I'm so grateful for the Gazette endorsement. And they talk about how that does bring, or what I'm bringing to the table is the new leadership, the stopping business as usual. And one of the things too, by the way, Jeff, that they talk about in the endorsement today from the Gazette, this district is now 73% suburban. It's a different district. Now, I spend the majority of my time in the Eastern Plains because those good people are farmers, are ranchers, are oil and energy workers. They deserve to be represented and listened to, which is what I will do. But if we're going to hold this seat, if we're going to keep it in the Republican column, it has to be someone who persuades our neighbors to join us instead of driving them further out of our party.
Talking with Deborah Flora, just breaking news. Endorsement from the Gazette, Deborah Flora for Congress in Colorado's CD4. This is what they say. As Colorado tilts to the left, the state's Republicans need fresh, compelling, dynamic leaders who can lift their party out of its current doldrums, especially in those stretches of the state that still lean to the right. Voters in one such region, the vast and overwhelmingly Republican 4th Congressional District, which spans the Eastern Plains, have an opportunity to send just such a rising star to Congress. Deborah Flora not only has the ability to put the district's deep conservatism into words and deeds in Washington, she also has the potential to infuse new vitality into the Colorado Republican cause overall. It's why the Gazette editorial board wholeheartedly endorses Deborah Flora for Congress in CD4. What does that mean to you to get that endorsement?
It's very humbling because I think it recognizes that my entire goal for doing this, Jeff, I was sitting in the chair where you were. I could have just been on the radio continuing to fight and lead rallies and speak all over and just live a much more comfortable life than being willing to go and fight in DC. What it means to me is it recognizes the fact that we can turn this entire thing around if we have new leadership that's focused solely on constitutional principles, which simply means limited government, getting government out of people's lives so they can live freely, securing the border so they can live safely, making sure that they can run their businesses and raise their families according to their own values. And it is time for new leadership. It is time to have someone that can bring people together, that can turn our party around. And I'm honored. I'm deeply honored that they recognize that because I'm running for one reason. And honestly, that's the biggest question that anyone should ask if they're voting in this district. Why is someone running? Is it just to stay in a position? Are they running for a seat or are they running from a seat? Are they having deep roots in this district where I've been fighting alongside my neighbors for years? And the only reason why I'm running is because I love this country. I love my neighbors. I want to see them living with freedom and dignity, free from government control, feeling safe. And I want to serve these people. That's the only reason why I'm running for this seat to go to Washington, D.C.
So you did get this big endorsement from the
Yes.
Gazette. This is a big one. You didn't get Donald Trump's endorsement. Why did he get it wrong?
Here's the reality. Everyone expected he was going to endorse Lauren. He has previously, and I think he's someone that just continues on with a loyalty to someone. I think what President Trump doesn't know about what's right here on the ground is what the people of this district are saying. They want representative government. What that means is someone that is authentically from this area, has been fighting alongside their neighbors for years, understands what has been happening. I mean, I've been standing alongside my neighbors when we flipped the Douglas County School Board, when I was standing up with so many other parents to get our schools back open again. I've been traveling the Eastern Plains for years when I wasn't even running for office, standing up and supporting their values. I've been listening to them for years. So I think that's what got missed in this endorsement. And I respect President Trump when he is in the White House and we retake the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. I'm going to make sure we do not squander that period of time. It's why when people go to my website, they'll see the roadmap to restoring America. I'm the only candidate that wrote out everything I'm going to be fighting for, because the next time we have all three branches of government, we cannot squander the opportunity to reform government itself, get it back to its proper role to serve the people, instead of dictating to the people. So that's what I would say about that. It was not a surprise, and I look forward to fighting alongside President Trump when he is in the White House.
Well, and I think it's important for people to remember at one point he endorsed Scott Tipton over Lauren Bobert. So those endorsements don't always work out. But thank you for your answer on that. So let's talk about the district. This is a unique district. Your strength, this is what I see for most people, right? Jerry Sonnenberg, Richard Holtorff, they're going to kind of pull from the plains. You have great name ID. You have great experience where the people are,
right?
Which is primarily Douglas County. Does that give you an advantage, you think, in this race? Is that where your campaign is really going to pull from?
I think what's great about this district, it's amazing, and I say diversified, not diverse, because that word has gotten completely hijacked. It's a very diversified district. The most important thing is for all of the amazing people that are on the Eastern Plains, who really are the backbone of our state and our country, providing our food, our oil and gas, working so hard. They understand I have the same values, and I'm out there all the time, and they know that my commitment to them is I will be there listening. I'm going to be so present, just like the 15,000 miles on my car. I'm going to start, by the way, measuring it by how many sets of tires I've gone through too, because they deserve new roads out there, which is a proper role of government. But you do bring up something really important. Many people don't realize that when this seat was redistricted before the 22 election, it is now 73% suburban. Now, why does that matter? Because nothing is sure in Colorado. And while this is a Republican seat, if we do not have someone that will resonate with our neighbors who are moving out of Denver because they realize the failed policies of the Democratic Party, if we do not have someone that can persuade them why our policies are the solutions to what keeps them up at night, we will eventually lose this seat. And the reality is I've won more straw polls and surveys than all of the other candidates combined, and I've won all of them in the population center of our district. And as the Gazette endorsement pointed out, it is time to have new leadership, energized leadership, so that we can begin to persuade our neighbors once again that we as the Republican Party have the solutions. And that's what I'm focused on.
So I'm going to get a little personal here. This is what I hear primarily from women voters in my life. They appreciate everything Lauren Bobert's done. They appreciate her voting record, all that stuff. It's the personal issues that kind of bother them. And they're leaning your direction because they don't see those personal issues. Is that an important issue in this race?
Here's what I will do, because I do believe in standing on principles and not personal attacks. So I'm not going to talk about someone else's personal life, but what I will talk is about what my plumb line is. I am so proud to be a mom. My husband and I have been married for 23 years, going on 24 years. He is a
big fan of you.
Oh, he's an amazing.
I think that's important for people to note. And you don't see a lot of this in politics. And this is very personal to me because it's something that breaks my heart when I see families fall apart because one of the spouses gets into politics. It's a noble business to be in. You're trying to serve people, but the demands on the job end up putting a tremendous amount of stress on families, and you see those families fall apart. Jonathan Flora is a very faithful man.
He loves great
you.
Man.
He's your biggest champion.
Yeah.
He is there for you all the time. And when I talk to him, he's always bragging about you. He's a great guy.
He calls himself my hublicist. But he's much more than that. I do want to start by saying my life partner, my husband of 23 years, he's an 82nd Airborne veteran. He is a committed husband and father. We are partners in everything. We have a business together. We have produced documentaries and public service campaigns to address military suicide prevention. He lives with passion and purpose, just like I do. That's why when together as a couple, we decided that I was going to step into this arena. It was a joint decision. People have wanted me to run for elected office ever since our kids were 2 and 3 years old. And I always said to them, in conjunction with Jonathan and I talking together and praying together about everything, my first commitment is to raise our kids. While I was working during that time, I was on the air for over 12 years. I've been producing films along with my husband, including one with Gary Sinise, where we highlighted first responders and we highlighted our military. We did the documentary, Whose Children Are They?, that exposed what's going on in our school system. But I do believe that if you send someone to Washington, D.C., whose foundation isn't firm, that is where we see people peel off and become a part of the swamp. If you don't go to DC knowing it is a desperate, lonely place where people are trying to manipulate you, if you have something open in your life where your foundation isn't firm, I don't blame anybody, but I don't know how they stand strong. We have a firm foundation. And I always tell people that my plumb line is in this order of accountability. It's to God who gave us our rights, to the Constitution that codifies them, to the citizens to which I'm answerable. But in that structure, my husband and I, we're a partnership in everything that we do. And it takes a strong man to support someone to go into this office. But I'm grateful for that. And so while I will not talk about anyone else's life, I'm very proud to talk about the fact that when the great voters of CD4 send me to Washington, they'll know that I'm going to stand firm because I'm going for one reason: to preserve this great country for my children, our children, your children. And I have a firm foundation that will make sure I don't get off track, because I know where I'm fighting, and I will come back home and be with my fellow citizens where I've been fighting alongside them in CD4 for years.
We did get some text messages on this, and so I want to respect the texters, as well as Richard Holtorff brought this up. Were you collecting unemployment from California at one point?
So glad he brought this up. This was a lie that somebody started when I ran for the U.S. Senate race. And the unemployment, and this is actually why I'm even more qualified, I think, to run for this position. It was when I was sitting in your chair, Jeff, when I was on Salem. COVID happened. The shutdown happened in 2020. And half of the station was furloughed because of the situation. I was like millions and millions of Americans, hardworking families who, because of an overreach of government, I had to, for the sake of my family, take Colorado unemployment for a matter of months, very limited period of time. During that time, by the way, my desire to serve and fight against the overreach of government expanded exponentially. I spent that summer with 2 kids being told they could not go to school, a son who lost 1.5 years of his football season, talking to parents where their kids were suicidal or getting on drugs or whatever, fighting to reopen our schools, to reopen our country, and then growing our business. And soon after that, we started launching several other projects. So glad to set that record straight. But that is what equips me as someone who was forced, like many hardworking Colorado families, to briefly take Colorado unemployment, to stand against that, fight against it, and make sure, by the way, Jeff, it never, ever happens in our country again, that churches and small businesses are shut down while big box stores and abortion clinics are left open. That is upside down. It can never happen again.
Talking with Deborah Flora. She's in studio. She's running for Congress in Colorado's Congressional District 4. Big announcement today. She just received the endorsement from the Gazette. She's responding also to some charges made from one of her opponents yesterday, Richard Holtoff. We'll continue this conversation, so stick around. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
News Hour in Berlin. I'm Trent Murray, and here are the top stories we're following. Joe Biden has broken his silence on pro-Palestine protests that have engulfed college campuses across the US. The president said students have the right to peacefully demonstrate, but not to cause chaos. Tony Waterman has the story.
President Biden had been coming under increasing pressure to address these campus protests, although the White House denies this unscheduled speech had anything to do with that. During the 3-minute TV address, he said that peaceful protest is protected in America, but violent protest and vandalism is not. And he also said that all students had a right to feel safe on campus. More than 2,000 people have now been arrested in the past 2 weeks.
Prospective passengers on a Florida cruise boat are being told there's no need to pack a bathing suit. The operator saying vacationers can quite literally bear all on an 11-night cruise around the Caribbean. The Big Nude Boat, as it's called, will set sail from Miami in February for what's being described as a stress-free, clothes-free experience for up to 2,300 passengers. Now, there are some rules. Passengers won't be allowed to be naked when the ship is docked, but once at sea, well, the clothes can come off, except at mealtime. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Trent Murray in Berlin on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Deborah Flora joining us live in studio. Breaking news just an hour or two ago. The Gazette endorsing Deborah Flora for Congress. Let's go through this just briefly. A warm and engaging personality. She also promises to be diligent and effective at constituent service. All the more crucial in a largely rural district dotted with small agricultural communities scattered apart. Another candidate in the race, popular Logan County Commissioner Jerry Sonnenberg, has deep agricultural roots. As a lifelong farmer and rancher, he doubtless would represent the ag community well in Congress, as he did for years, and he served the state legislature. But Flora stands out from the pack on something of pivotal importance to the state that is at a critical crossroads. She distinguishes herself as a face and voice for her party's future. A media entrepreneur, a nationally recognized parental rights advocate, a familiar voice on talk radio, and a seasoned filmmaker who has honed conservative messaging, she is a thought leader who can advance bold ideas. Let's talk about the party. How do you feel about the direction of the Colorado Republican Party?
Well, here's what I would say is I call myself a constitutional conservative and a Reagan Republican. And what does that mean? Reagan talked about the big tent. And the big tent, we don't move or compromise. The temples are firmly in the Constitution because that is the greatest document written for the flourishing of human beings. So we don't move it. We don't compromise. But the reality is my goal, my focus is to grow the Republican Party by persuading people to join us, not purging and purifying our party. We have an aspect of our party right now that's telling Republicans to get out of the big tent, let alone inviting others to join us. I really believe that our principles, our policies are the answer to everything that keeps people up at night. Our neighbors who maybe had a different yard sign in front of their yard. Well, how did Reagan win 49 out of 50 states? Starting by this premise, your neighbor is not your enemy. Your neighbor is someone that you just simply need to persuade why what they're dealing with, whether it is skyrocketing inflation, whether it's not having a say in their children's upbringing, whether it is the open border and the lack of safety they feel on their streets, whatever that is, Come join us because we have the solutions. People are tired of celebrity and sound bites. They want solutions. So what I want to talk about and why I appreciate the Gazette endorsement is I want to look forward. How do we grow our party? When we're down to 24% Republicans in this state, when I was growing up on Lowry Air Force Base, we were nearly 40%. People aren't leaving our party because of our principles. They're leaving it because of our personalities. So in this seat, as the next Congresswoman from CD4, my focus will be to regrow our party, to begin to persuade people of why we have the solutions to what is impacting their lives, serving the citizens, and then using this seat, by the way, to help down ballot races. It's been a long time since we've had someone in federal office here in Colorado that understood from a seat like CD4, it'll be a safe Republican seat if I'm the nominee. From that seat, I want to help down ballot races so that other great Republicans who will advance our ideas, advance freedom, advance solutions, have the support they need so we can also turn it around in Denver also, because people in this state are getting squeezed between Denver and DC. And it's time that we begin to persuade those who are fleeing Denver, coming down into Douglas County, which is half of the electorate, persuading them to vote our direction because we have the solutions. We've had enough of a time here in Colorado to see the blueprint. The Democratic one-party rule is destroying our state. We just have to be able to persuade our neighbors to join us. That's my vision for the Republican Party.
Now, let's talk a little bit more about the larger view of the Republican Party. Deb Flora, candidate for CD4, here with Jeff and Bill. Also, former talk show host here on 710 KNUS. It's nice to have her back in her stomping ground.
Thank you, Bill.
I saw you and Jeff wrestling over that chair. So who's going to be in the main chair?
Hey, I was happy to give it up. I even offered it. I was like, the queen is back in the studio. She may have her chair.
He gets the captain's chair. I've got great respect for what you all do every single morning here.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you listening. Now, let's talk. We talked Colorado Republican Party. I want to talk larger Republican Party. And this is in response to a text message that we got. They wanted to know, just can you outline or sketch your opinion about Donald Trump and him leading the Republican Party?
Absolutely. I think this is where I come down on this topic is all we needed was 3 years to see the difference between one set of policies and the exact opposite. Let's look at under Donald Trump's presidency versus Joe Biden's presidency. Under Donald Trump, he should have received the Nobel Peace Prize for the Abraham Accords. I called that the Hanukkah miracle when I was sitting in your seat, Jeff, because you had the UAE, you had Bahrain lighting the menorah at the Wailing Wall. You fast forward to the incredibly disastrous policies of Joe Biden and the Democrats. We have October 7th. Just look at the difference there. The worst barbaric attack in the history of the world, probably since the Holocaust. That difference. You look at what's happening on the southern border. Under Donald Trump's policies in 2019, 0 people on the terror watch list were apprehended. We were down there last year for an extensive period here at the station, working to turn around our sanctuary status and get the information. 169 people were apprehended on the terror watch list as of September. When you look at that, and by the way, that is just the ones they apprehended. The Border Patrol told us that that's probably about 1/3 of the gotaways that actually got across our border. You look at the tax cuts that need to be made permanent under Donald Trump and how that prospered the people of this country. And what's happening now with families that I talk to every single day on the campaign trail who are wondering, can I pay the bills? People on a fixed income telling me they're getting powdered milk instead of regular milk now because they can't afford it. Every marker you look at, you understand that Donald Trump's policies were so much better for America than what we're experiencing now. So I think that clearly speaks for itself. And one last thing I would say, the work that was done in our judicial branch, the Supreme Court we have, the justices and the judges that were appointed all across our country. Honestly, I think that's where we are saving our republic at this moment. I've led some rallies in front of the Supreme Court steps. I've been asked by some great organizations to do that. Jeff, you and I were there at one not too long ago. That is a legacy of the Trump administration and everyone who helped confirm those judges and justices. So that's how I feel about Donald Trump. And I look forward to fighting to turn our country back around when we retake the Senate, the House, and the executive branch. We will not squander that opportunity.
Would you support mass deportations?
Here's how I look at it. Having been at the border and speaking to the Border Patrol, ICE, and DEA, we really can't even talk about what comes after securing the border until we secure the border. Because what happens is if we begin to talk about what happens afterwards, the drug cartels manipulate and use that to have a mass surge on our border. So the order in which we have to do things, number one, secure the border, get rid of the incentives that sanctuary states are laying out as a false welcome mat, causing both a humanitarian and national security disaster. We need to make sure the Border Patrol actually has the money to patrol, not process, which is all that they're doing right now. And once we do that, then we can look at what we're going to do next. But I will say this. The 10 million people who've come over in the last 3 years, that's an estimate that we heard from Border Patrol, 90% of them were of military age, young single adult males. We certainly need to identify those people immediately and get them to go back to the other side of the border.
How about a national abortion ban?
The term that I use is national pro-life legislation, because we've already seen that. We've seen a legislation for partial birth abortion banning that horrendous practice. My husband and I made a film about that because that is barbaric, and the United States of America deserves far better than that. The Born Alive Act, that is a situation where everyone can agree that that is not something that is something a civilized society would stand for. So that's where I start on it, and then we can go from there.
Now, Deborah, got a question for you on Congress.
Yes.
But not about the Congress you're going to join, the current Congress.
Yes.
So I need you to kind of act a little bit like maybe a coach or an analyst. What do you think the missteps or mistakes the current GOP House have made in this term?
Well, number one, it's the situation we've been talking about with the Republican Party. It's time that we unite together and focus on what we're really fighting. When we've got people like Rashida Tlaib, who is basically a propagandist for Hamas, we need to remember what we're fighting, which is not one another. Now, I'm all for holding speakers accountable, but it is time that we show the American people that we can govern ourselves as a party, let alone govern the entire country. So what I would have seen doing, for instance, with the Kevin McCarthy situation, I'm not a fan of one person in all the United States of America being able to call the vote of the speaker. But if that is a necessary step, then what we do is we come together the way that those who are worth the right to govern come together behind closed doors as a caucus, talk it through, and do not come out of that door, out of that room, until there is a plan going forward. The fact that we went 21 days without a speaker, October 7th happened. There was a budget that was due. That was not a responsible way to govern our country. So number one, I would begin to galvanize the Republican caucus to work together for the ultimate goal, which is serving the great people of CD4 in this country.
I think you've just answered one question I was going to ask about whether or not you'd vote to oust Mike Johnson with MTG's proposal. I'm assuming that would be a no, that you would not. But I'll let you answer. What would you do? Would you support or not support the move to oust Johnson right now?
What I would do is I would get the Republicans, as I was just mentioning, together in a room. And we cannot oust a speaker unless we have a plan going forward. I've yet to see that that is the case. And the reality is we're just 1 or 2 votes away from having Hakeem Jeffries as our Speaker of the House. That would be devastating to everyone, because while that might feel great to grandstand on an issue, we've got to grow our majority in the House of Representatives. We've got to take over the Senate. We've got to take over the executive branch, reverse that into Republican control. And until we do that, we have to be unified. Now, if there is a plan and they get together behind closed doors and there's a plan of who they would nominate, but we've not seen that in this current Congress. It's really a lot of dysfunction and drama. And that is why we're getting so much support, because people know that I'm not about dysfunction and drama. I'm about standing on the principles and advancing our policies.
Would you have voted to send funding to Ukraine?
I would have voted for the Israel portion of the package. I have spoken to folks, and the Republican Jewish Coalition and others have said anyone who voted against the Israel part really shouldn't even call themselves a Republican. If we cannot stand for our number one ally, it's both a moral imperative because of what they're fighting there, literally barbarism versus civilization. But in addition, they're the only democratically elected country in that area, and it's a national security issue. That was voted on separately. I would have voted for that.
So I think the critique for some of the Republicans that didn't vote for it was that money was going to be going to Palestine and Hamas, and they didn't want to support that.
I have spoken in long depth with people of the Jewish community and the Israel community. I have been endorsed by someone who is an IDF captain that fought in the Yom Kippur War and every war since then, spoken to AIPAC, spoken to the RJC, and they were for it. They were for it because they understand that Israel, by the way, has already been putting their own humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip rebuilding. And we have got to stand with our ally, because they have two defenses in this world situation right now. Number one, their own amazing ingenuity and military prowess. And number two, the world understanding that America stands with them. I was speaking to some folks from Tel Aviv just last night, and they said the only reason why Iran has not sent a nuclear weapon into Israel is because they understand that America is standing with them. If we ever signal otherwise, it is a dangerous situation.
Now, Deb, I want to follow up on that answer there on why you had questions about the Ukraine funding.
Mm-hmm.
What is your question about the funding for Ukraine and the conflict there? What are the issues you have about not being able to support that funding?
Well, I did say I would definitely not, but here's what I would have to look at. And first of all, let me frame it this way. I've been in the Soviet Union. I was there the day the coup happened. I am not a fan of what has come beforehand. And really, Putin is just 4.0, 5.0 of the whole, Stalinist movement. So I'm not a fan of his aggression. What we do, however, have to make sure is that we do things in the order of priority of national security for the United States of America. Number one in this order, our border. That is our national security priority. It is our sovereignty priority, and it's a humanitarian disaster. Number two, Israel, because that is an ideological and existential threat to everything we understand to be Western civilization, and we have to stand there. Ukraine would be third, so I also think it's disproportionate. The reality, however, is we need to have accountability of where that money is going, because that, I believe, is what is lacking. And when there's been an ongoing investigation of the Biden administration and their ties to Ukraine, we have to understand very much where all of those things come into play. So I am certainly not an isolationist, but we have to look at these in the right order. And the litmus test is always our national security. And that's the order in which I would be looking at it.
Deborah Flora joining us in studio with the big announcement that the Gazette has endorsed her. It's the right combination of skills, they say, principles, and dedication the 4th Congressional District needs, and it's what Colorado's Republican Party needs now more than ever. We urge a vote for Deborah Flora for Congress in the June 25th Republican primary. You can learn more about Deborah Flora if you go to her website, deborahflora.com. That's DEBORAH, Flora, FLORA.com if you want to learn more about Deborah Flora. She was the queen of 710 KNUS for many years, gave up the seat to run for office because according to FCC rules, that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you coming by and saying hi to everybody. It was fun. Everybody came by and was giving her hugs. She had a great tenure.
And so many wonderful text messages saying they loved hearing you on the air. Danny Cash from Danny Cash Hot Sauce said it was great to hear your voice again. I know you're personal friends. Lots of people giving you shout outs.
Wonderful. Well, I have to say, it's so great to talk to all you wonderful 710 KNUS listeners. And it's been an honor to have served you all for over 12 years on this station and also as the Director of Public Policy. Each and every one of you listening are a citizen who makes a difference. And it'll be my greatest honor to serve so many of you as the next Congresswoman for the 4th Congressional District. Go to deborahflora.com.
So yesterday, Richard Holtoff. Today, Lauren Bobert, Deborah Flora. We've had Jerry Sonnenberg on the program as well. This is where the conversation about the leadership of this state, the issues that affect you, takes place. So give us a call. What did you think of Lauren Bobert? What did you think of Deborah Flora? What did you think of Richard Holtoff yesterday? 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text us on the 710 KNUS app. We'll get to your calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Man, it's been a fun morning.
Oh, yeah.
We got a whole nother hour, by the way, and we're going to dive into some additional issues on this. But I really do want to thank all the Republicans, any elected official that comes on our program, in fact, that are, part of the conversation, that make that conversation. That's what's happening in Congressional District 4 happen right here on 710 KNUS. So we had Richard Holtoff yesterday, and boy, he's a cowboy.
Yeah. Oh, he's great, though. It's so many things. I mean, again, with so many of the guests and and even with Deb, it was wonderful to see her again. And Lauren, as we know, I don't agree with him on everything, but we have to be able to have the conversation.
Right.
And that's what I appreciate, is the willingness to have the conversation. And that's why I throw so many rocks at many of the Democrats, because I don't feel they have the same spine, that they want to go to more friendly outlets. And yes, this is a friendly outlet per se, but I'm not so friendly. So when they come in here, they understand what they're getting. They understand, and they're taking that risk to have the conversation with you because I'm involved. And they understand that, because I don't necessarily toe the line. I am an independent, unaffiliated. So that's part of it. And I appreciate them willing to do that. It's shocking how many of the people on the other side of the aisle that scream at you all the time about the freedom of speech and everything else don't want to do it. It's shocking. But what do you get?
In the 9 o'clock hour, I would like to take your calls and texts. What do you think about what Richard said yesterday? What do you think of Lauren's response? What did you think of Deb's response? What do you think about the Gazette endorsing Deborah Flora today?
That's great for her. Wow. And did it change your mind? Did it change your mind? Did you hear anything today that gave you a different insight into who you just might vote for? I want to hear.
Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Good morning, Denver. It's 9 a.m. It's a Friday, and the sun is shining. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe.
Hey, good morning.
Bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, center, and crazy. And that has definitely been true the last few days. We've had a ton of fun bringing you the hottest insights and takes on what's happening here in the state of Colorado. It's going to be another beautiful day in America's greatest city, and we're gearing up for a whole another hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. This morning, you heard from Lauren Bobert. You heard from Deborah Flora. Yesterday, you heard from Richard Holtoff. What do you think about what they had to say, their leadership, the vision that they're laying forth? We'll try to get Jerry Sonnenberg on and Mike Lynch as well, Peter Yu, but everybody's welcome to be a part of this morning's conversation. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. Grab your coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Bringing us the latest news is Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Morning. Sorry about that. Got to turn up the mic. Morning, Jeff and Billy. 51 and sunny in Denver. Expecting highs in the mid 60s today. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
I thought it was very fun because I really thought, you know what? First of all, the voters of CD4 really are looking for someone who's going to focus on the issues that they are dealing with, not the personal attacks, the petty name calling or anything like that. And it's a real opportunity because there's such a contrast in this race.
Deborah Flora is not thinking about what Richard Holtoff said Thursday on the Jeff and Bill Show. She's in it to win it in CD4 with policies and not personal attacks. Flora just received the endorsement from the Gazette and wants to work for all of the people in CD4.
Big, bold ideas instead of business as usual. It's time to get back to what I call Reagan Republicanism, where we focus on persuading our neighbors to join us. Right now in DC, there is so much dysfunction. The Republicans look like we cannot even govern ourselves, let alone govern a country. And so people know that I am a fighter, but I'm a fighter on principle.
Holtorff also went off on Congresswoman Lauren Bobert. She responded this morning on the show.
Please just let Richard Holtorff talk as much as possible from now until June 25th, because every time this guy says something, he exposes to the world just who he is. I'm not here to dump on my opponents and expose them for whatever it may be, especially if it's not policy. It's one thing to disagree on policy. It's another to just go after characteristics or high heels.
Bobert says she continues to fight for Colorado and D.C. and will not let this slow her down. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem was scheduled to speak to Jeffco Republicans this weekend, but after the story of Noem writing in her book about shooting a dog, Nancy Pelosi and the Jeffco Republicans received numerous death threats, and for safety reasons, they've had to cancel.
You know, everybody will get a refund of whatever if they want to. The hotel is working with us. We did lose some money. Yes, this was not done with, being free. I have 300 copies of Kristi Noem's book.
Pelosi was also on with Jeff and Bill this morning. Hamas supporters at Auraria campus said no to a proposal that may have ended their ongoing demonstration.
Students standing united here. Yeah. Are there people united against genocide here? Yeah. That's right. I cannot believe that anyone would want us to donate to Tel Aviv in the name of SDS while the genocide is being carried out in Palestine. That is deeply insulting, and to that we say shame. Shame!
A group of donors offered to make a $15,000 donation to the International Red Cross if the demonstrators left the quad by 5 o'clock Thursday. Isaac Mallah is one of the North Carolina students who protected the American flag a couple days ago. He's an Orthodox Jew and a patriot.
When this becomes an American issue, that hits kind of double hard. And that really hits us both in our religious country and our home one that we really feel is deeply important to us. I've seen a lot about us being heroes or unbelievable people. It's none of that. We see a country that we love and we believe in and we stand for its values being desecrated. And we didn't want to sit by and just let it happen.
Yeah, let's go. 47 in Broomfield, 46 in Castle Pines, 51 in Denver after being swept in Miami. The Rockies start a series today in Pittsburgh. Nuggets and the Avalanche get ready for the next round. Nuggets take on the T-Wolves tomorrow at Ball Arena. In game one of the Western Conference semis, Avalanche waiting on the Golden Knights or the Stars.
And down the stretch they come in the Kentucky Derby.
150th running of the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs in Louisville tomorrow. Jeff and Bill continue on this Friday. Have a great weekend. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for breezy conditions today, a chance of some scattered areas of showers and a few thunderstorms come late afternoon and evening. We'll be up near 70 degrees. Lows tonight will be a bit colder, mid to upper 30s, and windy. Breezy, 60 Saturday, isolated showers and thunderstorms late, 40 Saturday night, all the way to the upper 70s Sunday. Gusty south winds with showers and thunderstorms late, then windy and cooler. Few showers Monday and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day on 710 KNUS.
I know with all the craziness that's happening on college campuses, you can rightfully be concerned about the direction of this country. Came across some audio from Ole Miss, though. Here's some students on the campus of Ole Miss. Gives you a little bit of hope.
That is cool.
Those SEC schools, man, they're not putting up with this stuff.
And I tell you, and we talked a little off air. I'm a huge soccer fan, and that idea of crowds in whatever size singing together is something that really pulls at me emotionally. And I think that it is incredible when that happens. And that touched me. That is a crowd that is, they're not necessarily prompted as far as music or anything behind them. They're doing that together in response to what is going on their campus. And that touches me deeply. That is really, really cool. Thanks for bringing that. That was awesome.
All right, let's get to the phones. The lines are jam-packed full, so we'll get through these. And then feel free to text us in, too, if you don't have the ability to get an open line. But let's start with Joe Arvada. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Jeff, Billy. I listened to Holtorff and Deborah Flora. I missed part of Bobert's, but my gut is Bobert will win it, and here's why. They're both, all three are great. I mean, I really like Deborah Flora, but any other year, I think she wins it. Here's the problem. We need a fighter, and Lauren Bobert has proven it. I think that's why Donald Trump picked her. It's pretty easy to see. She's going to be able to get down there in the mud and wrestle. And I don't care about her personal little issues. Give me a break. They'll find any blemish. If Deborah Flora was the current incumbent, believe me, they'd be exposing all her background. It's just it's a mud wrestling contest.
But do they, though? I'm thinking back to Doug Lamborn down in Congressional District 5. You don't really hear much about his personal life.
I think he was kind of that kind of a rep. I didn't hear much about him at all. I mean, really, what did he do? Did he?
Good answer, Joe.
So, Bobert stood up for President Trump. Don't you see a lack in the congressional Republicans right now? Where's the fighters? I mean, Jim Jordan has to get a needle in his, to get going. Come on, man. Stand up for President Trump. Fight. Get in there and fight. We need that because right now, this is a war for our country. It's the communists versus the freedom lovers. You want to let it go to the communists, keep putting in, bland, go with the flow kind of people. You want a fighter? Put in Lauren Bobert.
Yeah. Now, Joe, I'm going to bring you something else to the table. When we talked about fighters, you heard the comments from Holtorff yesterday. Them is fighting words. Could he necessarily be, maybe if he's your second choice, is he a fighter you would deem worthy enough of CD4? Again, if we take Lauren off the table, is that the kind of fighter you're looking for?
You know, I do like his spunk. You know, I need to know more. Here's the thing. She's a known commodity. She's going to vote the right way. I'm really concerned about this. I'll be blatant.
Yeah, please.
If we put in Deborah Flora, I got the feeling she's a kind of an establishment Republican that's going to be like a Mike Johnson. She's going to be like, oh, the issues. And then she's going to go in the back room and look at the national security tapes and say, oh, well, I got to go with whatever the deep state says. I feel like the guy, Holtorff, is a fighter, but I think we need him here in Colorado. I just don't feel like he's a national guy. And I didn't hear much about Donald Trump, standing for Donald Trump. I know he's for him, but I just feel like she's known. I really don't know enough about him. I'd like to see him run again.
Joe, you got a text message here, 6858. Joe is the man. There you go. Listeners like you, Joe. Thanks, brother.
Jeff,
Joe
Jeff,
from
we love you,
Arvada.
man.
Thanks. I appreciate the call. Joe's line will be open 303-696-1971. Up next will be Shumay. Hey there, fellow homeowners. I got to tell you about roll them out shelves. All right. We had them out to our house here recently. We don't have a big kitchen. We live on a ranch house. It was built in the 90s. And they maximized the grazing acreage, not the size of the house. So when you have 6 people in a kitchen our size, you end up with stuff all stacked on top of each other. We are looking forward to getting roll them out shelves installed. We had Joyce and Brent out to our house. It's like having your mom and brother over. They are incredibly kind, fun. We talked about family. We talked about faith. We talked politics. They share our values. Then we got to work, and they measured every nook and cranny, got all the measurements right. And then we got to see what the roll them out shelves look like, because they're Baltic birch built right here in Colorado. And we had some shelves that came out, but these are builder grade. So what you may have in your house is not nearly what it could be. And this stuff's great. It's going to maximize our space. I often joke with Bill, I married Monica from Friends. So imagine organization, that, the little vacuum to clean the big vacuum. That's my wife. And so she's very excited to have all this new space and to be able to organize better for our family of 6. So go check out Roll 'em Out Shelves at 303-475-9601. That's 303-475-9601, or visit their website, rollemoutshelves.com, for a free in-home estimate. For less than $1,000, you can embark on your very own home makeover journey with Roll 'em Out Shelves. Rollemoutshelves.com, and be sure to tell them Jeff sent you. Let's go to Shumay. You're on line 2, Centennial, Colorado. Thanks for calling in on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first time I've called in, but I wanted to talk about the problem with the duality of Lauren Bobert talking a spiritual talk and then how she carries herself. I find that to be very problematic. But yesterday, Holtorff said that, carry the Bible, act like a Baptist minister all you want, but actions speak louder than words. And then he talked about the whole person content, how the personal life reflects this professional life. And I have to agree 100%. Even before the Beetlejuice situation happened with Lauren Bobert, there was a time where she was posting pictures on her congressional social media of her in a field of sunflowers, and there was a picture with her hair up in her hands, like a Sports Illustrated model, like her midriff showing, looking over her back, like from behind, like just a little more provocative than I would like to see as my congressional representative. And I reached out to her personally, and I was like, I know you're a Christian and a person of faith, but this does not help your witness. Like this, you have men just oogling over you in this space, and putting out content like this, and she was married at the time, is just not righteous. It's not holy. And the response I got back, I did it in love, and I did it straight to her. And the response I got back was blessings and kissy face, And then we had the Beetlejuice thing, and that kind of display of character and a lack of integrity and a lack of Christian values, family values, like she said she was this party represents, and she was on the show last week, and she brought up the fact, like right before her interview started, like, oh, sorry, the it's loud over here. I'm making water or a bottle for my grandson. And I just feel like she's trying to reposition herself, exploiting her kids and bringing her kids to this place to kind of paint a new narrative that she's a mom and a grandma and all that kind of stuff. But it really lacks, it just seems so like politician-y. And I just think that we're supposed to make right judgments. And it says that, like, she's a Christian person. I'm a Christian, a person of faith too. And it says, like, what business of mine, and Paul says in Corinthians, to judge those outside of the church, but we're supposed to judge the fruit of those inside the church. And that kind of behavior is just not anything I want representing me. Like that, it's just, there's going to be more issues, there's going to be more drama. I'm definitely more for Deborah. She represents my values, and I think would serve us without all of the drama.
That's interesting, Shimei. I appreciate that take on that. I want to explore a little bit of when you're talking about how Lauren is presenting herself, especially online and in the Instagram. I've seen a little bit of that too, but for me, I kind of came at it as more of a marketing perspective, and it probably just is because of how you're viewing the world and I'm viewing the world. My first one is to look at she's marketing herself, and this is the reason that I'm asking this question. Is I looked at some of the times, some of the prettier pictures and things that she shares, and even other female representatives and senators inside of our government. I feel that some of that presentation is marketing. And what I mean by that is, this is kind of weird, but if you have an advertisement online, regardless of what that advertisement is, if you have a pretty woman smiling face next to that advertisement, your clicks nearly double, simply because of that face and that marketing. And so I just am asking you, how much of that do you think that she's doing, maybe out of, maybe a faulting in the religious side of her journey, or could it actually be marketing? And that's why I want to talk to you about it, because you saw it as her faltering in the spiritual journey, where I saw it as, oh, she has to do X and Y in order for the marketing side. What's your response to that? What's your thoughts?
I mean, being a person of faith, why would you compromise yourself to market your values, to market your stance as a candidate in fleshly endeavors? Why would you do it in a way that makes people lust, that makes people, kind of like have this kind of thing with you?
That's
there's
fair,
a
that's
leader.
fair, but just for that's fair. But she wasn't dressed as one of the sports suit, swimsuit illustrated models. She wasn't. It was more sexy than what you would assume. But I'm not certain. For me, I'm not certain it necessarily crossed a line as far as how she represents herself as a Christian. And so that's what I'm curious about. Does. Yeah,
I 100% think it does.
That's
because
fair.
You shouldn't be like showing, like, yeah, you can be an attractive, beautiful woman, a married woman, and you don't have to present these photos. I mean, you could even take those photos, but why post them? Like when you have, like what she said, 75, when you're representing 7,500,000 people, and there's a range of aspects. I mean, we're not supposed to, as Christians, you're not supposed to bring your brother to stumble. And I see her in the comments in different groups in Parker and stuff like that, where you have a man who's married gawking over her, and she's like flirting in the comments. And if the roles were switched, if it was another woman doing that to her husband at the time, she would not be comfortable with it. And there's just a deviation in integrity that I just think is inappropriate. I mean, I ran as a school board member, and I was compared to her a lot. And there was a point, I mean, I'm talking, I donated, I cured ballots for her. I was a full Lauren Bobert fan. But then once I saw her starting to hone in on what you're calling a marketing shtick, kind of starting to, sex sells kinds of things, it's just it doesn't resonate with me. That's not the type of representative I want. That's not who I want my girls to look up to. We shouldn't be doing pictures like this. Like she had her feet in the sink in another post, and it's like, why are you posting that? You know,
Shumay, can
like,
I ask
what
you?
she's doing.
Can I ask you a question, Shumay, calling in from Centennial,
Yes.
Colorado? So while Deborah Flora doesn't have the personal issues that Lauren Bobert has, a lot of people like Lauren because of her boldness, her fighting, her willingness to be very clear about where she stands on everything. Do you find that same fighting spirit with Deborah Flora?
Yeah, I do, but it's poised, and it has principle connected to it, and there's a consistency in it, in my thought process. And like Deborah says, you're not going to have the clicks, you're not going to have it's not going to be like the thing that you can post on social media, but she's going to be the kind of representative who will be able to work with other representatives to stop bad bills, to get bills passed. And I think she's just going to be a representative that just really shows what CD4 needs. I mean, we had Ken Buck just, really dropped the ball. And I fully believe we won't have to be backing up a personal aspect of, Deborah Flora's lifestyle, because you won't find that kind of, space there for people to attack. And that, I think, can focus on the policy, can focus on what really matters to the constituents versus all the drama.
Shumay from Centennial, first time caller. Let's not make this the last time. Please call again. Appreciate you taking time to be on the Jeff and Bill show.
That's right.
I want to talk to you about Dan Campbell's law. Look, if you get into a problem where you need a guy that shares our values, right, is with us there, he's pro-life, pro-family, pro-America, you got to call Dan Capitalist Law. Dan suggests that you choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. He's the son of a police officer. He's also a former seminarian, and he's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Imagine walking into that courtroom, guys. Imagine you need help dealing with a car accident. Dan Caplis and his firm is by your side. Are you kidding me? That's what you want. He's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. He's a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLISlaw.com. Let's go to Rob in Lakewood. Rob, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Rob.
Yes, good morning, gents. I enjoy listening to your show for the interaction with the individual callers, and definitely when you have them in. And what I find intriguing about the CD4 race is the diversity of perspective and, demeanor, personality, etc. that we have. I understand Joe in Arvada, and a lot of guys like Joe, I think, have probably disengaged from active participation in the process because they didn't see us as fighters. And so then somebody comes along like Lauren Bobert or Richard, who I think, like Jeff said or Joe in Arvada said, that he's good for Colorado. I think that is Richard's niche. I don't really know that he would be so great on a national scene, but if he was the candidate, I could sure vote for him if I was in that district. But somebody like Lauren, yes, she's a fighter, but there's a lot of drama with it. And I know Billy's observation of marketing, that makes sense. But Shanae in Centennial framed it up real well. I was at state convention where Lauren kind of gave an evangelical sermon almost to introduce Matt Gaetz as the special featured speaker there. And I thought, okay, because I'm an evangelical, but her persona outside of that environment, and even the way she was dressed there, it is not conducive to what I think is a mature decency in what we need in the public sphere. And Deborah Flora she's just a dynamite candidate. She's got all of it together. She is a fighter. And I understand Joe saying, well, Lauren has proven it. Well, Deborah's proven it at a local level. She's fearless, and she goes anywhere and will talk to anyone. and takes it head on, and she's gracious. Even when you guys came at her with direct questions about the unemployment issue, different things, she's able to frame it without attacking the person that started it. And that takes quality and perspective. And I'm proud that Deborah's a friend and become a political friend over the last couple of years. She is a dynamite candidate, and I just think she'd be great for Colorado. She'd be a fighter, but she can get things done. Going to D.C. and stirring a pot and creating a lot of drama is not the objective. The objective is to legislate and do it effectively, be able to communicate with both sides of the aisle, whether they agree or disagree, and to be gracious. I don't think people would be hating her and attacking her personally so much as when you have somebody that's a little more of a drama person. But Rob, I don't fault. No, go ahead.
Rob, why do you think Donald Trump got the endorsement wrong then?
I just think I have a real issue. As firm as I am for President Trump, I even have a bumper sticker for him on my car. And I was reticent to do that because I know how people act and react to vehicles. But I want that publicity out there because I believe in President Trump. He is a man and an individual, and I think he is wrong on meddling in state primaries to the extent that he does. I think it's wrong. He's a national figure. He's got a lot together. Everybody wants his endorsement, from what I can tell, but I think he's wrong on meddling in a contested primary. It's almost the same approach I have with our state chair right now. Even though I've agreed with him on certain things and commended him, I have strong feelings against what he's doing, much like Deborah Flora frames it. We don't need to unduly castigate those that are on our side. And Donald Trump meddling on this primary with all the drama, I think it goes back to his old days when he was kind of a New York rabble-rousing bachelor. And he probably kind of likes, how Lauren Bobert's cachet is. I don't like it. And I like Lauren. I respect her as a mother and a grandma as far as that she wants to fight for her family. But I think she needs to spend a little more time at home and get her family stuff in order and leave the serious politics stuff and effective politics stuff to somebody like Deborah Flora that her family's raised.
Rob, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Rob from Lakewood. Rob's line will be open 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Gary and Ben, you guys will be up next. We do have an open line. Feel free to give us a call or text us on the 710 KNUS app. When you do that, please let us know your first name and your location. It helps us out a lot. Folks, I want to talk to you about the Colorado Farm Bureau. As they say in Colorado all the time, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, because water is very, very valuable. And it even means more to those of us that live on the Eastern Plains. I've got to, I'm on a well. I'm not on city water. So there may come a day that will open the tap and it's just not there anymore. So most of the debates, in fact, I was talking with county commissioner candidates yesterday. Our conversations out on the Eastern Plains happen around water. You need good people like the Colorado Farm Bureau who work in agriculture to improve the efficiencies of the irrigation systems and adopt farming practices to help crops use less water to grow. They're planting drought-resistant varieties, and they're leading talks with state policymakers about how to preserve water supplies when we have good years like this last one. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families. So why don't you join them? Be a part of this movement to protect the water here in Colorado. Go to farmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com, coloradofarmbureau.com to join them today. All right, Gary and Ben, you'll be up next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in Berlin, I'm Trent Murray, and here are the top stories we're following. Prospective passengers on a Florida cruise boat are being told there's no need to pack a bathing suit. The operator saying vacationers can quite literally bear all on an 11-night cruise around the Caribbean. The Big Nude Boat, as it's called, will set sail from Miami in February for what's being described as a stress-free, clothes-free experience for up to 2,300 passengers. Now, there are some rules. Passengers won't be allowed to be naked when the ship is docked, but once at sea, well, the clothes can come off, except at mealtime. Joe Biden has broken his silence on pro-Palestine protests that have engulfed college campuses across the US. The president said students have the right to peacefully demonstrate, but not to cause chaos. Tony Waterman has the story.
President Biden had been coming under increasing pressure to address these campus protests, although the White House denies this unscheduled speech had anything to do with that. During the 3-minute TV address, he said that peaceful protest is protected in America, but violent protest and vandalism is not. And he also said that all students had a right to feel safe on campus. More than 2,000 people have now been arrested in the past 2 weeks.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Trent Murray in Berlin, Salem News Channel.
Lots of great phone calls and texts coming in. We hosted Richard Holtoff yesterday. We have Deborah Flora today and Lauren Bobert today talking about, Congressional District 4. And Richard, he had some words for folks yesterday. Here's his comments.
I raised 5 daughters, and I'm going to say this loud and proud. My 5 daughters, if they stood in front of me in a group of 20, 50, 100 people, dressed like Bobert, I would be disgusted. I don't know what her problem is. She needs to learn how to dress. You know, Jerry's the old guard. He's kissed the ring. He's talked. He's got all the endorsements from all the old guard Republicans. But where has that gotten us, Jeff? Bill, where's that gotten us in the last 5-10 years? Well, Deborah Flora. Boy, you're making me opine about all of them. And she gave her little speech that she learned how to do when she was running for Miss Colorado or Miss America or whatever. Those speeches about, ending world hunger and saving the world. And she's all gloss and shine. And I don't know how much depth she has. She claims to be a fighter. I'm inside the Capitol fighting. She's been on the steps blowing that horn for education and talking through the bullhorn. But what has she done in politics? What has she done in public service? You know, she went to Hollywood, spent a long time there.
Holtorff's a rancher. If you don't know Holtorff, he's a rancher on the Eastern Plains. And I asked the ladies to respond to some of the comments that he made. Did they feel that those were sexist comments? And they generally didn't. I think they just kind of moved past it. They both know Richard personally, and it didn't seem to bother him too much.
And I like the fact that they both addressed it as well. At least the idea of a personal attack or attacks like that aren't talking about how I'm wrong on the issues. Yeah. That was kind of nice. They were like, well, it's fine. That's okay. I'll take that, because as long as they're talking and as long as they're attacking me, they're not disagreeing with me on the issues. They're not saying I'm wrong about it. I'm not saying I'm the wrong candidate.
Speaking of issues, here's the text message, 2156. Deb Flora refused to take a stand on the Dougco School District's tax increase. She rides the fences on hard issues. I don't trust Deb Flora to make decisions that are in the best interest of the people she represents. I like her as a radio host and listen to her nearly every day. I just can't support her to go to Washington for now.
Interesting.
Do you agree with that? Give us a call. We do have one line open, 303-696-1971. Guys, I want to talk to you about Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic real quick. Look, low testosterone is more than just erectile dysfunction. It's a loss of sleep. It's loss of energy. And that just happens as you get older. So you can address it. Go to the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, which has served the Front Range of Colorado for nearly a decade and has successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Maybe you just need supplements. Maybe you need a shot. Maybe you need, just get that testosterone up. Remember what it was like to be 22, strong. Get some good sleep at night. I know that affects a lot of you guys as you get older. It affects me too. Schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today. Your initial visit's only $99, and it includes a medical consult with a licensed medical provider, a T and PSA test, and if medically advised, to test dose. And if the test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. They have 5 locations all around Colorado: Fort Collins, North Denver, Central Denver, Castle Rock, and even down in Colorado Springs. So stop dealing with the lack of confidence that comes from having low testosterone. Give them a call today, 720-440-7900. That's 720-440-7900, or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com.
And that's a great message, Jeff. I appreciate that, because as you're getting older, all of us sit there as a guy and say, I don't have the energy. I'm too tired at night. It's hard for me to get up in the morning and get going. I've got yard work to do, and it's so difficult for me, and I'm so sore and tired later on. And it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and why the hell am I awake? Those type of things. And that part of that is testosterone, that we don't realize as men that testosterone is no longer being produced by our body at the same rate it was when we were younger. So it's not unusual for us to feel like crap. Not unusual to have this.
I would love to see 22-year-old Billy.
Oh, dude. I was a lot of fun and a lot of danger. It was in fact, a really good friend of mine from high school the other day, I had posted something. It was about the story that we had done with Westwood and talking about how my father had told me that I had an underdeveloped sense of fear. And my high school friend is like, I witnessed that personally numerous times. It's like, I absolutely, I can verify that.
Yeah. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic will help bring 22-year-old Billy back. We'd love to see that. Yeah. Let's go to Gary in Denver. Gary, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. Can they help me with my face?
Yeah. I think that's Botox.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention the 3 candidates you've interviewed or were on your show. The first guy, and I'll be as blatant as he was, he sounds like a hillbilly who's been drinking too much. And you know, I think yesterday the first comment after he spoke was someone said he's too loud, and I agree 100%. The guy is just, I just don't understand people who scream like, Mark Levin, if you've ever watched him.
Yeah.
The guy screaming. I don't know why they scream.
Yeah, Levin's delivery is kind of weird. The thing for me with Holtorff is he reminds me of the ranchers and farmers that are in my life, and what I appreciate about them being unfiltered. Yes, they can be loud. Yes, they can be boisterous. But I appreciate the lack of a filter because you always knew where you stood. They never danced around an issue. And it was because, in my opinion, that farm and ranch lifestyle, you don't have time to, guys, maybe this weekend, maybe if you're not free, if you're not busy, maybe we can help me with the fence. And it's bad because the cows are and I'm going to lose the money. No, you got to come over and go, guys, this weekend need some help. You have time to help me. We got to build the fence. You got to be more direct in order to get where you need. So that's what I hear in Richard. I hear a lot of my farm and ranch friends that, again, but can they overstep boundaries at times and be, that's somewhat, I wouldn't say offensive, but kind of grate a little bit sometimes based on their opinions? Yeah, absolutely. But I embrace Richard because of that, because I like that unfiltered. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think, on a farm or a ranch, that's great. Just as not someone I want in Congress.
Fair point.
As far as Lauren Bobert goes, I agree with you, Billy. I think her marketing group has decided that, wearing the short skirts and the lipstick and all of that is going to win more voters than it's going to lose. So I think that's smart on her part. But she has a track record, and I'll never get the image out of my head when she was sitting next to Matt Gaetz when they were going through 15 or 16 rounds to get rid of their chairman. And I just don't think she has a track record. I like Deborah Flora a lot because of the three, she was the one, when you asked her a question, she had thought about the issue and she explained her position, and she sounds like a very thoughtful person. And her lack of political experience doesn't bother me because, frankly, I think the job of a congressman or woman is a simple job. It's very easy. I mean, you basically do what you want to do and you think about issues and you vote. What could be easier? The real work is when they're trying to get elected. But once they get there, they're going to be fine. So I like her. The only part that kind of threw me with her was at one point, like Donald Trump, she said something like, I don't need to be doing this. I could be having a really great life. I don't need this. No, you do. You want this. And I don't know if you need this, but you want this for certain reasons. And don't give me that crap. You're basically running for a job, and we'll decide whether or not we want to give you that job. But I like Deborah Flora a lot.
Gary from Denver, I appreciate the call. Thanks so much for joining the conversation. Gary's line will be open 303-696-1971. Hey, last week, I think it was last week, or it was earlier this week. It was last week. We had Gay Ribble in studio. My days just all flow together, especially if I spend my evenings at Casa Bonita. She came in, sat here, answered questions. Let me tell you about Gay Ribble and why I trust her to be our realtor. She, first of all, is just a beaming personality. She's a very lovely person. You'll love working with her. Always got a smile on her face. Very pleasant person. But she's got very strong values. She was adopted herself. I didn't know that. We were talking about off air about this, but adopted to herself. And she uses portions of the money she gets from each home sale that comes to Empower Home Team to donate to kids that are looking for their forever home. They're looking for those parents to be in their lives. She gives back to the community, but she's an expert, right? A lot of us rely on kind of family members to become real estate agents for us. She has 14,000 pre-approved buyers. She can often sell the home above what your kind of local family realtor can get because she's got all these pre-approved buyers. And it sometimes doesn't even go to the market. Listen to this. She will sell your house for 100% of the asking price, or Gay will pay you the difference. It's an offer you simply cannot refuse. Get 100% of the asking price guaranteed with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. So give them a call. At least talk with them. See if they can come up with a good deal for you. You can give them a call at 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD. Or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. Awesome lady. look forward to the next time. She really is an expert. She'll be in the studio again answering questions about housing issues. Let's go to Ben in Denver. Ben, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Ben.
Morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me. I just wanted to talk about the interviews you guys have had. I really appreciate hearing from the candidates. I think just a more general point, just on the appeal of someone like Lauren Bobert. I think I certainly sympathize with what Shaimeh was saying about just the personal issues and how she carries herself. Certainly would not defend a lot of what she does, but I think what we've seen in Washington is a lot of kind of good old boy Republicans who maybe have everything polished and put together, but then policy-wise or how they govern or how they represent their constituents or just Americans in general is really pretty bad, right? So it's one's policies is a reflection of one's character, and I think Mike Johnson is a great example of that. He's got kind of everything by the book procedurally, and just how his personal character seems to appeal to evangelical Christians, and yet he is really siding with the Democrats now in so many different bills coming through. So I think I wouldn't endorse a lot of what Bobert has done personally, but she does at least have some sort of track record of challenging Washington, being willing to stand up to the regime, and I think that's
Ben. Do you think, Ben from Denver on the line here, do you think though that Richard Holtoff could do that, and he doesn't have the kind of personal issues?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly got a feel from that interview yesterday, but I think the issue there is, he's going after fellow Republican candidates, and I know it's an election, it's a race, but at the end of the day, our opponent is not Deborah Flora or Lauren Bobert. What we're really trying to do is defeat the Democrats who are, actively trying to run the country into the ground. And so I think spending all the time kind of going on those personal attacks, this doesn't really accomplish anything. You're only causing division within the party, which we just certainly don't need right now.
Ben from Denver, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Ben's line will be open 303-696-1971. Hey, if you're active like me, and we're all active in Colorado, it's what makes Colorado great. We get outside, we do things. Check out UltraCur. It's a patented non-prescription natural capsule that helps address some of the soreness you may have from working out. If you need to overcome pain, check out UltraCur. Experience UltraCur for free. You can even try it for free. Go to any Denver Metro Natural Grocers and ask for the health coach or the vitamin manager, and they'll give you a free 3-day trial of UltraCur. This is non-prescription, non-addictive. It's great to help you if you're dealing with soreness that comes from being active or just getting older. Head to the Natural Grocers, grab your free 3-day UltraCur trial. No strings attached. Wondering about the research? You can get the lowdown at getultranow.com. That's getultranow.com. It's that curcumin stuff. You hear it in some of the other products. It doesn't upset your stomach, and it's a natural antioxidant. So it helps you control your daily wellness. Again, head to the Denver Metro Natural Grocers and pick up a free 3-day trial of UltraCur. All right, we'll continue with your calls and texts next. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Let's go to Nick in Denver. Nick, you're on. Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. I have a preference for Deborah Flora, even though I've never met her, but she seems a little bit more calm, cool, and collected than Miss Bobert, who seems to be always getting into, I don't know, shouting matches with people, and we need less drama queens and more level-headedness.
Why is that important to you?
Because it's the drama queen aspect takes away from the conversation. I want somebody who is issues and getting things done, and not be distracted, whether it's your fault or the media's fault, on anything else. I want 100% focus on the issues and getting things done.
Nick, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Nick from Denver. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for an incredible show. The last few days have been a ton of fun. Richard Holtoff joining us yesterday, Lauren Bobert today, Deborah Flora today. If you missed any of it, it's all podcasted, 710knus.com. You can download it there, because this is where Denver's news and talk comes together, right? You go to any other station, you're going to hear a monologue. Someone will read you scripted news that comes from the East Coast somewhere. But here you have Jeff Hunt, Bill Thorpe, Blake Olson. We're your buddies, man. Yeah. We're going to have the conversation here.
Yeah, we will. We'll have a lot of fun, and we'll ask those questions that most people won't ask. So that's usually my purview. But yeah, that's some fun today.
Coming up next is Charlie Kirk. The program guide on 710 KNUS is great. You're going to want to stick with us all afternoon, right? You got Charlie Kirk from 10 to noon, Dennis Prager, noon to 2, Sebastian Gorga, 2 to 4, Officer Brandon Tatum from 4 to 7, then Jay Sekulow, the attorney, President Trump's former attorney, joins you 7 and 8, and then you get Mark Levin from 8 to 11. Absolutely fire lineup. Salem does it right. You can get the best news and commentary on 710 KNUS.
Yeah,
so stick around.
And behind the scenes, Jeff and I are going to hopefully try to work with the Jefferson County Republican Party because their Lincoln Day dinner has been canceled. Christine Noem, because of death threats, those squishy, huggable liberals here in our state, have forced them to cancel the event. We're not happy about that. We want to see behind the scenes if we can help them out in some way, shape, or form. We're going to reach out. We're going to talk to them, see if we can help them out and do something, because this is crap. The fact they had to cancel this big event with Christine Noem in the town because of death threats from the liberal squishy. Can't you just hear what I'm saying? Protesting people? No, I'm a little mad. If you can't tell.
I love it, Bill. I love it. And she's got like 300 books to deal with.
Yeah.
So, all right. Podcast 710 KNUS. You've been listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you Monday.